goodness, I am late. Yeah, 9 minutes past. So I wonder if it's possible to just configure a weekly stream standard. It's kind of annoying to have to just a place where people can drop in. Have to figure that out. Have to figure that out. Oh, good. I am not sharing my screen yet. And then, okay. Can I share my screen? Present. Let me put a banner up. Show. And let me hide. Gem, diamond. Come on, gemstone. Yeah, save and then show. Yeah, I can stop that. I can put a little calendar in there. Oh yeah, let me share. Okay, maybe I can do this. 9, right? And then I will present share screen. That's screen 3. Share. I hope I did that the right way. Move this a little out of the way. I'm gonna maybe move it. Yeah, whatever. Actually, no, move it to. Oh, there it is. I'm moving my thing over there in a bit. Okay, and I was basically editing this thing. It's a little annoying that I can't kind of like disable this while I'm editing this text, but whatevs. Wee bit late. Sweat emoji. Sweating. Grinning faces. Sweat. Every week calendar. Yeah, this is a night better one. Yeah, whatever. That just looks more like a cow. Sometimes a wee bit late, but I'm mostly here. Went for lols, rolling on the floor, laughing, questions, red question mark, or just co-working company, and then office, building. Give me the freaking building. Yep, save and then show. Ha! Not the shabbiest. Oh, someone is in here. Hello. Someone from the Twitchverse. How's it going? I have to figure out how to get at least messaging from Twitch to show up because it doesn't show up in my comment thread in here. So this is the tool that I'm using to do the whole Twitchy thing. Accept cookies. Let me go back to the live thing on my phone and see if I can follow. Let me check this out actually. If there's audio, come on, Twitch. Why so broken? Okay, stream manager, chat, no one there. I find it frustrating to not be able to tell who's watching. problem of Twitch. Ah, I can open a MacBook for that. Yes, folks, I have a MacBook that I don't use. That is the only device I was able to log into Twitch with. So, but I just need to be able to find it because I've probably dropped it somewhere, and my desk is a hot mess, obviously, as you can tell. Uh, Impossible to find anything here. Let me just give it a real shot. Um, let's find a MacBook. Where could it be? 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 Oh, come on. Come on. Was I anywhere? Did I leave the house with it? It's not in my backpack. It usually always is there. Yeah, folks, I'm trying to do some authy things these days. But I've been in the middle of a lot of due diligence work, so haven't really gotten around to sorting that out. And now I have to figure out where a MacBook is hidden in this house. Uh, who would have thought I'd lose a MacBook? Is there a chance in hell that I maybe left it over at somewhere? Where was I recently? Didn't take it with me in a taxi. I did have a MacBook with me not too long ago. Crap. Is there a small chance that I left the MacBook in Lisbon? No, come on. I'm not that much of an idiot. Or am I? Hmm. Oh, two people. What? Someone from the Facebook verse. How's it going? Um, so yeah, I'm trying to figure out where my MacBook is hidden. That is objectively shocking. He just lost a what? Sufficiently heavy computer. He just misplaced it, casually misplaced it. How the hell? Ah, I need to get my life in order, peeps. I really need to get my life in order. Let's retrace. Isn't this the most frustrating thing that can happen to you? You know that something is nearby. I actually dusted off this small computer recently, which is a lot nicer than the big one to travel with, IMO. So whenever I go to cafes, I actually really prefer to work from the tiny one. It's also it's lightweight, it's convenient in the hands. The keyboard is actually a lot better. It's kind of like the old XPS 13. So yeah, I'm not upset about that. It's just the power is it's a little painful to deal with. It's a really slow machine. So yeah, not really keen to spend too much time working on that machine. And that's why the MacBook came in handy. But if I can't find it, it's not much use to me, is it? You know what? I'm going to take off my headphones for a second, and I'm going to walk over to the kitchen and see if maybe I've dropped it somewhere out there. Bear with me, I'm taking this off. I'll be right back. Hmm. Yep, found it. One MacBook recovered. So I guess now I just try to turn it on. See what's there. One's back in. Good. Yeah, it's still turning on. Where we go? Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Connecting to the internet. Waiting for that thing. Is it connected? Come on. So I'm pretty sure I probably have to hotspot my phone. So this thing has something to connect to. Here we go. Boop, turning that on and waiting for a bit. It's not the best part of this whole tech experience now. Come on. How long is this going to take? Ah! Ah! All right. What's going on? What's going on? Find network. Come on. There we go. That one. Connect to that. Cool. We'll drop this here temporarily. I'll come. Holy crap, you need a WPA password and you need power. How am I going to sort out both things right now? Do I have the cable? Everything is happening right now. This is what happens when you're dashing into a stream directly from a couple of calls. Today is not my day. I even had one call that didn't quite happen because I was in the middle. I came from the road from a few meetings, then dashed into a due diligence call. And now this also got this whole weird situation on my desk with plants. Like this is like people that are like clean OCD-ish are gonna have a big problem with me because my desk is a royal mess. And what happened here? Apparently my machine connected. I didn't do anything. Frustrating. Cool. All right, cool. So I guess I accept the cookies from Twitch. That works. For some reason, I can't tell who's in the room. I guess that's a feature. I've been trying this multiple times. I'm not successful. All right. I guess I'm not supposed to know. Well, whatevs. Let me check. Audio. Uh, not sure if this works. Let me reload. All right, cool. I just needed to confirm that the audio's working fine. All right, so I got the MacBook charging again. Just make sure that the service it's on is stable enough for it not to fall over. Making some room here. Okay, cool. So we're going to get some serious work done. Serious. It's probably a joke. I have to add myself to. I'm already to the stream. What's the perspective? I don't think I understand. Let me go to that. Look like that's the view. Oh, maybe that's okay. So let me go back here. So what I wanted is at least this view. Here we go. Now I'm inside the whole thing. A little bit better. Alrighty. And then there, it's pretty bright. Cool. Then I have to tap out of this. Oh snap, I probably have to close a bunch of, let me do one more private message before I really close this thing up. Actually, no, let's focus on this. The reason I'm doing these streams is because there are a million things that need attention. If I'm in the middle of a stream, I can't tend to the other things, which is deliberate. It's by design. So let's not mess the design of this thing. Systems are there for a reason, and life hacks are there for a reason. Eh? Cool. Will do. Someone needs some input from me, but it's confidential junk. We can discuss it in a stream, can we? So I just on a different screen said, all right, I'll look at it later, right? And then now I go back to whatever work is for today. Mm-hmm. And I can, yeah, quit. Come on, I don't need that right now. Oop, we just close that. We don't need to pay attention to this. I got to figure out what to do next. Cool. An entire list of tooling in our space that I really need to rank, but don't have the time. Yeah, go to dark, better, here, to dark, better, move this to the monitor, a lot better. Actually, can I? Oh shoot, that's not good. That's not good. Maybe I can make this work. Hang on for a second. Can I where to go here? To this here. Ooh, it's not bad. That's annoying. Okay, what about that? Oh, fair enough. Okay, and then maybe I have comments panel showing. Fair enough. All right, cool. Now, what we were doing, so I'm currently in the middle of two things. I'm actually writing a landing page, and I am stubbing a prototype for auth. And I've been fucking it up royally. Sorry, maybe my mom is in the chat or in the stream. I can't say that. I've been messing it up royally. Have to do better. But it's not very obvious to me what is going on right now. So yeah, let's try to figure it out. Let's try to figure it out. Cool. I have to say, like, I wish the tooling in this space was a lot better. Like when I'm doing streams, it's really hard for me to maintain an overview of everything that's ongoing. Holy smokes, this is like full house. 3 people, 3 people in the house, 1 from Twitch, 2 from Facebook. How's everyone holding up? I think I see messages that are posted inside of this streaming app. So yeah, just side information. I'll switch over to the screen where my here. So I have this screen is to the side where I kind of like maintain an overview of the streaming tool. So this is the tool that I'm using for streaming. I should probably pin that. And you can kind of like see that I have Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter as channels where I'm basically broadcasting this. And I get messages in here, but I don't always spot them in time. And there's private chat, which I think I'm not using unless I have guests on the stream. Uh, I played around with publishing to LinkedIn before, but that was a painful experience. Or I don't think that LinkedIn is the audience for me yet, not in this lack of format type of state. But yeah, I moved that screen over again. Now we're back to code. Can I remember what I was doing last time I did something? Let's just run the formatter. I probably need to run format fix, but hey, one thing at a time. I also have to localhost 3000. I have a temporary landing page that I copied from a template. And of course, the logo is completely off, but the rest of the information is almost on point, right? All right, cool. Let's figure this out. Let's get this done. So this part, npm run build, figure out if that wants to work. And then the next thing we need to do is figure out how to config an app, a GitLab app. Now, that is probably going to be something like this. Now, redirect URI. It's probably going to be HTTPS one line per URI. Can I have multiple? See, now that's something I'm learning again. Enable only for confidential applications exclusively used by a trusted backend server that can securely store the clients. If you do not use for native mobile single page or other JavaScript application, then it cannot keep the client secret. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Do not enable for native mobile single page or other JavaScript applications because they cannot keep. Well, okay, cool. This is not going to be confidential then because we're accessing it from a JavaScript app. Hey, how do you do that? Of course, let me share the link with you. This is awesome. I will find invite, copy. I'll find you on Twitter. Twitter DMs. There we go. And oh, lovely. I got a message from you. Thank you so much. Yeah, perfect. Now that is yours. Awesome. Cool. Now I should get a notification in StreamYard the moment you join. Yes. Okay, cool. Now, how do I see participants? I believe the link is already out. Yeah, imagine I'm trying to do the same thing next week from a different location. Oh, look at that. It kind of works. I see you. Wow, dope. Okay, so let me move this window back into view so you can see what I'm trying to do. Now I add you to stream. Whoa, my check. I hear you. I can privately chat with you. Hello.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
Great. Yeah.
Awesome. This is so dope. Are you based in the Netherlands right now?
Yeah.
I saw that. So do you speak fluent Dutch as well?
Yeah. I learned Dutch.
Awesome. So I'm actually a Dutchie, so that was like a fun little factoid that I found on when I was looking you up and like figured nerding out over your profile. Ah,
Oh,
super
that's
cool.
funny. I didn't know you're Dutch.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in Delft. I'm a TU Delft dropout. I didn't even survive 3 weeks. And then I ended up at
Okay.
Hogeschool Rotterdam and I
Mm-hmm.
had a blast out there. Yeah,
Okay.
funny.
Huh. But
So
you're
tell
like
me more
based.
about. Hmm?
You're based in Berlin or something, or in Germany? Or...
Exactly. I'm currently based in Berlin. Um, been here for like what, probably 7 years now.
Mhm.
At least 7 years. Yeah. So yeah, this is home for me now. But once in a while, I'm over in the Netherlands. Probably not necessarily in the neighborhood where you are, but
Mhm.
um, I think I still make it out there. My siblings are still based out there, so I have good reasons to be back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So let me know, like you're working on Agda. Maybe you can like walk me a little bit through what you're trying to do with it because I find it a pretty interesting but rather eccentric choice for a language.
Yeah. Well, I am formalizing some category theory in Agda.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, I mean, I'm basically using it to prove stuff.
Yeah.
But the category theory in question is about sorting algorithms. Um, there's this interesting paper by Ralph Hinze and Nicholas Wu, which is
Mm-hmm.
called Sorting with Bialgebras and Distributive Laws. Um, and I don't know, have you heard of recursion schemes?
No, I know I've heard of the recursion, but not of recursion schemes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like this thing in functional languages where you can have like structural recursion, like recursion where like the hierarchy of function calls basically follows the structure of a data structure. So you know how
Mm,
you can have like linear recursion, that would be like, for
yeah.
example, factorial, right? You just call the recursive function in one place.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're doing like a recursive traversal of a tree, you're going to have recursive calls in two sides, probably, if you're going down
Exactly.
the left or the right subtree. Um, and like basically all recursive functions that can be expressed as these kind of structured traversals over data types, um,
Hmm.
you can express using recursion schemes. Um, so there's
And
like
does
a yeah.
ah, and does the compiler just parallelize that automatically?
So the thing is, it could do that. Um, it should do that, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That depends on the compiler. It depends if you've implemented it. But the selling point really of programming with structured recursion is like you get a bit of a limitation because it's like less general than just recursion in itself.
Mm-hmm.
But theoretically, like you know things about it. For example, you know that all functions defined via recursion schemes have to terminate, things like that, which are like really
Mm,
nice properties. So um, the problem is that like in a lot of like in most, well, there's actually really no language where they are like ergonomic to use yet, and where you can use them actually for all of the kind of data types that you would like to use them for.
mm-hmm.
Um, and so yeah, that's kind of a limitation that has existed for a long time. But um, currently, I'm not doing anything with that limitation. I'm just looking at kind of theoretical applications that they have.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's this paper. So my research internship is I'm formalizing some category theory proofs um, in Agda.
Jeez, that's dope. Yeah, that's next level. And how much time are you taking for this?
um, well, it's a research internship. I don't know. I haven't really like strictly planned um, exactly how much time I spend per week. I'm basically going to be doing this until February. See how
Okay.
far I get. Um, but yeah, that's
Is this now for this project? Is it the first time you're actually going to really tinker with Agda, or have you built things with Agda before?
yeah. So that's the thing. I haven't actually used Agda before, so I'm learning
Ooh.
Agda at the same time as trying to use it, uh,
Mhm.
which I wouldn't always recommend. Um, but I was thinking like I know a bit of stuff about dependent types from Coq, the proof assistant.
Hmm.
And like Agda is kind of a bit similar to Haskell, but I am finding out that there's a lot of things in Haskell that are not comparable to anything that I know from either Coq or in Agda. Yeah, that doesn't compare to either Coq or Haskell. So yeah, it's a bit challenging, but yeah, it's kind of a question of sometimes you have to like you're trying to do something, you don't know how to do it, and then you have to choose. Okay, do I like really try to brute force like my
Hmm.
current application, or do I go step back, try to look at something more general, and maybe by looking at something more general, I will find the solution to my uh, concrete problem.
Goodness. Okay, that's next level. Ah, goodness, this is cool. Okay. What's your workflow typically like then? Like, are you currently maybe you can walk me through your toolbox of choice right now.
hmm so like my working environment is usually I have like since for some weeks now I have like a desk at an office from the department where I'm doing the
Hmm.
internship, which is really cool because I'm only a master student and usually you don't get that as just a master student. But my supervisor was like, hey, there's like a desk free, so it means I can work at an office. And I don't know,
Yeah.
I just really love working at the office for some reason. Like, although like what you're doing, like having like streams and then like having people come on, I did something similar like that during the pandemic. I had like a Discord server which I called the library, and I would like ask friends like to join, and like sometimes I would also just be like in an open, voice chat with friends while we were co-working, or like yeah, each person was working on their stuff. Um, that was kind of my approach during the pandemic. But yeah, also I really feel like I need to have people working around me or have some sort of thing where I don't feel like I'm just doing this on my own.
I hear you. Oh my goodness. Like, why did you stop with a stream?
I guess just because on location stuff was possible again.
Uh,
Yeah, because like I would also like before I had the office, I would go to the university library and like I would meet up with friends.
mhm.
Um, and so yeah, but I mean, I might be like remotely based again in the future, so I'll probably like uh, probably dig that up again, since that it seems to help a lot.
I'm gonna have to follow. I'm gonna have to get on your Discord. Um, and this follow what kind of antics you're up to. That's dope. Ah,
Yeah,
wow,
yeah. It's
cool.
funny. I
So,
actually. Oh,
hmm?
yeah. Go ahead.
Go for it.
Yeah. So I actually found I found your Twitter because you wrote like a blog post about setting up Arduino in NixOS, and I
Ah,
read
yeah.
this like I don't remember how long ago, but like I have this custom keyboard. Not using it right now, but it has like an Arduino based chip on it, and I like wanted to modify the keyboard layout, and I had to flash it. So then I
Uh-huh.
had to use like the Arduino toolkit, and you had like this really nice blog post on it. So I was like, aha, a fellow Nix enthusiast.
Amazing. Yeah, fellow Knicks enthusiasts in the house. Yeah, it's funny that you're saying that because I don't even know what's out there on the internet that is useful. I totally forget about that stuff. I haven't written anything in a long time, at least I think 2 years. Um,
Damn. Yeah.
and really funny that you're talking about custom keyboards. I just got like the Dilemma,
Uh-huh.
which I'm currently testing out, and I've not been actively using it because I'm still trying to figure out which mappings I need,
Yeah.
especially for symbols. It's really tricky for me, and I use like Xmonad as a window manager, and I had some key
hmm
bindings that are really hard to reach because I don't have all my modifiers accessible.
Yeah.
So it's probably going to take a while before I make the full transition. But this one
Yeah.
doesn't have. I don't think this one has the Arduino on. This is Raspberry Pi based. So I
Oh,
basically
so
get
it's
it
even
into
more
like the
powerful.
bootloader. Yeah, it's more powerful. I just switch it into bootloader mode. Then it basically becomes basically presents itself as a flash drive, and then
Hmm.
I basically copy a file into it, which is
hmm
pretty easy as
Yeah.
far as user experience goes because you can always mount a drive. You don't really
Yeah.
need special tooling for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I did have to fiddle a little bit. I think the repo for QMK currently has a shell.nix file in it. So
hmm
I believe and flake.nix already defined in there. So it was pretty easy to set that up. So
Ah, it's
I'm
always
really happy.
lovely when you
Yeah.
find yeah. Although recently I tried to so I was at MuniHack, which is like this Haskell meetup slash hackathon, and I wanted to contribute to Haskell language server, and they had a flake.nix, but it didn't work for me. And I was like, how is this
Ooh.
possible? Nix is
Yeah.
supposed, and it worked for someone else. And I was like,
Yeah.
Nix, this is exactly what Nix is supposed to solve. I didn't figure out what was going on. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe it had something to do with caching because it used like cachix, and I really haven't like delved into that yet,
Sure.
like remote caching of builds. But yeah, usually if you see a shell or flake, then it works.
Typically it works, right? Yeah, that's also what I'm counting on. I've had it a couple of times that I had networking issues where something wasn't like one of the caches was down and I couldn't build things, and I was like, "Whew, that's actually a pretty big vulnerability
Yeah.
that I just can't." And then you probably have to rebuild from scratch, but then you have to be
Mm.
able to access the Git repositories, or sometimes things are sourced from FTPs, and those
Hmm.
can be down as well. So there's always this weird risk. And maybe I should set up like my own cache so I at least can
Hmm.
guarantee that my systems I can rebuild from at least my own cache in
Yeah.
case shit hits the fan. But then I haven't bothered to. I think there's Domain Koza is running Cachex, a managed Cachex service right now, where I could
Hmm.
probably just buy a basic a Cachex instance and basically use that with my computers to ensure that I have something if my
Yeah.
computers fail. Um, Funny. So you're also in the NixOverse.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right. So that, I mean, you're a couple of steps ahead of me there, because the Agda part and the Haskell part, I think I started using Xmonad because I told myself if I have to write Haskell to configure my system once in a while, I'll probably learn
Mhm.
it. I don't think I've learned much. I probably have learned a couple of things. Like the first thing is that I have less anxiety when looking at Haskell code. Like it's not the
Mhm.
first thing I have. It's not panic flashes. Uh, but
Yeah.
I'm not writing anything fluently in that language, although I would love to.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did find a good resource though. There's this professor, Graham Hutton, who
Yeah.
has a very good class,
Mhm.
like basically on YouTube. So I've been following a couple of his videos, and then work gets in the way and kind of like sidetracked.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah. Ah,
I'm actually so I've been a TA for Haskell courses like five years already. Like I've TA'd an introduction to functional programming 5 times. It's
mm-hmm.
really funny. I can basically do it in my sleep. And
Oh, but
I've written like 2 compilers in Haskell. Well, both for like toy languages, but still, it was fun. So actually, right now, I feel like I'm at the state where I'm like, yeah, Haskell, it's interesting and all, but like I want to try something. So I'm like getting into Agda, because like now the kind of stuff that I found myself doing recently in Haskell is like dependently typed like programs, and then
mhm,
the way that you do that in Haskell is kind of hacky because dependent types are not like first class feature of
citizen.
the language.
Yeah.
So right now, what I'm trying to do is basically learn Agda so that I can see what dependent types look like in a language that has like full support for them. And then
Ooh.
maybe I will still go back to Haskell. And then like once I know how to kind of write it in a language that has nice dependent types, you can still
Hmm.
encode it, right? Like because
Sure.
um, like you have to like you do some duplication and stuff because you can't use like term level functions as type level functions and stuff like that in Haskell. But if you know what it should look like in an ideal world, then at least you can translate it. And yeah, funny. You find that a lot of like things are actually encodings of things that are possible
Mm.
like in other type systems. So it feels a bit hacky, but like that's kind of what you have. You have to work with what you have.
Sure, absolutely. Rui med die hebt.
Hmm.
Fun. Oh, this is like term level functions, type level functions. Like that's something that I wrote down that I have to Google because I have no clue what they are.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, in Haskell, like type level functions are type families. Um,
okay.
yeah. There are
Type
some really
family.
good posts by there's a post on by Sirockel on
Oh,
like on type families. That one's really useful.
uh-huh.
And there's also this thing that you can do in Haskell, like where you use type classes as like functions from the type to the term level.
Oh,
Um, which is also really interesting and feels kind of hacky, and it gives you a whole new understanding of type classes. And there's also a really good blog post by that. It's actually the most recent blog post by Alexis King. It's called An Introduction to Type Class Metaprogramming.
ooh, introduction to type class meta programming. Oh goodness, this is lovely. I'm feeling like you're like increasing my intelligence by with an order of magnitude. It's awesome. Like talking to you now motivates me again to like get behind that whole trying to learn Haskell thing. Because I feel that maybe right now all these things are pretty overwhelming, but if I manage to get like a handle on Haskell, I build a couple of things in there, and then I move into like more abstract topics for my
Yeah,
brain. At least it becomes
definitely.
easier.
Yeah, like
Alexis, huh?
Alexis King.
Yeah, gotcha, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. There's like this. I haven't actually read it, but there's like this apparently really famous by now blog post that she wrote called "Parse Don't Validate," and it's
Mm.
apparently spread like even beyond the Haskell community. And like she says, like sometimes she gets like from completely random people like messages about this blog post.
Oh, nice. It's interesting how things live their own life when they're on the web.
Yeah,
You totally forget
absolutely.
about it, and then all of a sudden, like,
Like 5 years later, someone comes back and was like, "Hey, I followed you on Twitter because of some post." Yeah.
exactly, like what? Oh, this is kind of like motivating to hear this because now you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I just keep posting things once in a
Yeah,
while. You have
it
like
really
such a
motivates you
wholesome,
to
yeah,
to put it out there, you know. There's actually
absolutely.
like there's also this I gave this talk at MuniHack and I have like slides for it, but like I know if I would make a blog post about it, I would reach so many more people. It's just that
Ooh,
I had like this, I just got hung up on this thing because I tried to do like I want to do like a literate blog post where the source code of the blog post is included. Is basically like the
yeah,
source code for the webpage should include the source code of the actual code that you're writing.
yeah.
Um, and I ran into some difficulties, and so I gave up. But
Hmm.
it kind of bugs me sometimes because I feel like nobody has written this particular thing before, and it's just the knowledge is like in my head, it's in the slide, but it's not anywhere that people can find it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, so what part of that is blocking you right now? Because like, to build like a literate programming type of
Mhm.
tutorial-ish, right?
So the thing that's blocking me right now, and it's kind of stupid. That's a thing. I sometimes said like I have like these ideas that something has to be like done in this, like an exact specific kind of way, and so the thing that I have in this case is um, in so there's this package I use. It's called LHS to LaTeX, which translates literate Haskell source code to LaTeX. Um,
Okay.
and in it, there's like a directive \eval, which allows you to put in like a term.
Hmm.
And when it's translating the literate Haskell source to the LaTeX, it will like start a GHCI session and then evaluate that expression and then put the result of that expression into your code. So like in my presentation, I have like, okay, if we put this into GHCI, we get this result, right? Like I say this,
Exactly.
but then
Yeah.
kind of then immediately what I feel like I require of myself in order to like make sure that the code and the presentation don't drift would be, hey, like if I say that if I evaluate this, I get that, then I want to make sure that that's expressed in the way that I'm building the web page. Because maybe
Mm,
I change the code and then actually it evaluates to something else, and then like that's the thing. I want to prevent this drift from happening.
sure.
So then I looked for like existing frameworks, like static website frameworks that allow you to do something like that, and I didn't find anything. Well, I found one thing, but that's like for making a WordPress site, and I hate how WordPress looks, and I don't want to work with WordPress. I want to work with
Yeah,
stuff that the cool kids use. Um,
exactly.
so that's
Oh,
basically where it's stuck, which is really funny because it's been stuck there for I don't know, like 1.5 years now or something. But I don't know. At some point, I should really get back to it. And I was thinking like, if I really can't find an existing tool, I need to write my own tool because it's not that hard. Like you just write some sort of build script or something, or write a Pandoc plugin, or. But yeah,
mhm.
it's like I feel like that's kind of the hill that's preventing me from doing that.
Oof. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Like I have been doing a bunch of literate programming stuff with org, and then I basically tangle or export them, and then basically I get the results of whatever code snippets are there inside of
Yeah,
the documentation. And maybe that would be a nice segue to, or I don't know if you're using Emacs, it's probably
yeah.
relatively easy.
I'm using
Okay,
Emacs.
yeah. But then there's still some tooling you have to wrap around it to make it into a nice web page, I guess.
Yeah.
But it has to be interactive, you say?
No, that's not like the website can be static. That's
Okay,
not the
cool.
problem. The only like thing that I need is like I mean to write literate code and then to untangle or to tangle whatever you need to do, like that works fine as long as like there's like that's kind of just static, right? You're still just
Mhm.
working with two different sources. But at the moment at which you have this requirement that I have, where like you have these things that you want evaluated, then actually like launching the build system for your code becomes part of the build system of the website, because you have
Yeah.
to like at least be able to enter into like an interpreter and interpret something. So that's I think because this adds so much complexity, I think this is why this doesn't exist in like most tools. And then I think another problem that I'm facing is that I'm not sure where I should, if I do this myself, I'm not sure where I should contribute it, right? Like, 'cause there's the option like try to go like into org mode and figure out what people do there, or there's like there's Haskell, that's like this thing kind of like Jekyll but for Haskell, that like a lot of Haskell bloggers use. Then there's like this other framework used by a bunch of other bloggers. Like I follow a bunch of like Haskell bloggers, and at some point I went through like all of their blogs and tried to find like exactly figure out what they were using. Then you could also probably do this like with Pandoc in some way, I think.
I'm guessing like it's pretty close to Haskell tooling anyway, so it's probably hopefully a slick way to do it there. But I am not literate enough to read it.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically that's the other thing. Like, first there was a question of does this exist anywhere? I only found the WordPress thing, so now it's like I should build this myself. But then I'm kind of, what hinders me is just where should I build it, right? Because you also want to, like, if you want other people to use it, you should contribute it into something that other people use.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's such a big thing that I've just postponed ever writing this blog post.
Oh my dear. Chicken egg problems. Yeah. Interesting. I unfortunately I can't be of any use to you in that.
Nah, that's fine.
Way above my pay grade.
This is like my inner demons, like.
Yeah. It's really entertaining to hear this. Oh goodness. Alrighty. You want to test out? Let's see if we can test out if you can do a screen share as well. Because all of the work you're doing, is that stuff you can talk about, or is there some hidden private secret sauce stuff in there?
No, it's just like research work that I'm doing, and there's nothing private about it. Contributing to, I think, well, like the only thing might be that someone could steal my idea, but
and publish before you. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing that I'm doing is so niche that that's not really a risk.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm totally fine if you were to just puzzle out like Agda struggles, maybe not even directly related to the final work you want to do, but just like tinkering around, solving stuff, mumbling or cursing when you're frustrated. Because I mean that's most of the experience, I guess. For me at least.
Yeah. No, right now I'm just really trying to figure out like how to use Agda for something. I'm just writing down the definition of something.
Cool.
And so yeah, I think that I can do that, and then I'll share my screen just a second.
This is going to be the first time I'm actually testing out the whole screen sharing thing inside of StreamYard with someone else.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious to see how it works.
Okay. Share screen.
How long have you been using NixOS?
Like 3 years and a bit now.
Probably around about the same time as I started. Cool. Oh, dope. This is dope. I can see you at the stream. All right. So I wonder what happens. Okay, so you have to switch between the two screens. Gotcha. Cool.
Okay, so you can't add both your screen and my screen to the stream.
Which makes sense, because it would be probably really hard to read two full screen monitors.
Yeah.
On a stream. So I guess, yeah. All right. Cool. Let me put you on a bigger screen because I really appreciate this.
Oh yeah, the font is quite small. I can zoom in a bit.
I think it's more or less yeah, this is better actually. Dope.
All right.
So let's see. So you're note taking right now, or this is the program directly?
This is the program.
Code. Yeah.
And so right now I'm just defining something. I'm defining a categorical object called bialgebra. And here, like in the comments here, I have like the mathematical definition. And down here, I have like I'm translating it into a record. So this is like a bialgebra for an associative, for a distributive law, which is actually that's like a natural transformation. And now, so the interesting thing is there's basically a property that you have, which is that you say let me see, beta is like you have an algebra and a co-algebra, basically something that reduces and something that builds, and you say like alpha is yes. So when you build up and then you reduce down with like you build up with alpha and reduce down with beta, that's the same as like building down with beta in like it's a bit difficult to explain because like this is actually so in category theory we usually use diagrams to express stuff. And like you don't have diagrams in Agda. So what I actually often do is I have like a tablet where I do like the graphical stuff that I'm working on. And then a lot of the like in category theory, you have these things called commutative diagrams, which are basically diagrams where you say that if you take like one path through the diagram and you take another path through the diagram that like go from location A and both go from location A and end up in location B, then taking those two paths is equal. Like those two paths are equal. So a lot of like these just equalities that you have here, if you illustrate this nicely, it looks like a diagram where you can like go like across the top edge and then the right, or across the bottom edge and then the left up, or something like that, and then it's equal. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing here. And then yeah, you have some requirements, and I have to figure out how to exactly express this stuff.
I'd be really curious, like in your head in particular, like is this kind of like the optimal mode for you to play? Basically, you're learning through play effectively, right? Are you taking notes on your tablet through basically diagram scribbles, or do you also keep like a written like log of notes somewhere for a quick reference?
I absolutely keep a log of notes. So this is thoughts.md. I don't know, I'm just used to Markdown. I've tried to do like thoughts.org in the past, but I haven't seen kind of the payoff, especially because so like some things that people use org mode for is I think time tracking and to-do tracking and stuff like that. But I use external apps for both of those. I use Clockify to like track my time, and then I use Todoist for task management. And the reason I use those is just because they're accessible also on my phone, and a lot of my time tracking or task things are like not coding related, because I do other things in life.
You do. That's at least it's good to hear.
Yeah. So then it doesn't make sense for me to do it only within Emacs, and so that kind of kills the other things about org mode. Although there's probably like a lot of other things that are still cool about org mode. There's always lots of talks you can find on the internet which are like org mode will change your life and org mode this and that and everything. But
I hear you there. It's probably also pain for me that I do take a lot of notes in org. But I think I use it also a lot for section navigation. I use org roam as well, which makes it easy for me to kind of like link things together and kind of like navigate things almost graphically. Sometimes it helps me. And then it was a small enough shift from org. Also, I do the literate programming thing quite a bit. So then the org files are really helpful for me there. And now I've almost fully transitioned into org. And I don't necessarily do the time tracking thing as much with it, but I do, for example, when I break down a project, I'll write my headlines as to-dos sometimes, and then I'll just flesh them out. I'll add ideas, or I'll refine the concepts that are in there, and I can mark them as done, and I can have like a quick overview of everything that's still pending. And then I kind of like weirdly fell in love with it. But yeah, I think the mapping between Markdown and org for me, it's super simple. I think I got used to it now, so I don't feel the pain anymore. One thing I love it's probably the unadvertised killer feature of org is that italics are like slanted lines. Underscores are like underscores. Look like the thing it does, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Oh, but cool. You do keep the notes in there.
Oh, absolutely. Like every single project that I make, the first thing that gets put in there is the thoughts.md file. And actually, like one thing that I haven't really figured out how to do yet, although I have like an idea how I might do it, is like these development logs, I feel like they're really important for projects, but then often I don't add them to version control, because I'm like, these are like my private thoughts, and if I ever want to like make the repo public, then I would have to. I actually heard that there's a way to actually like extract parts of a Git repo, like that exclude certain paths, something like that.
Sure. Yeah.
But that's like work. But then I'm like, yeah, it's not ideal that I don't back these like devlogs up, like because usually when I make projects, I like add a remote. I actually found out about. Do you know about the GitHub CLI?
I haven't used it, but I know that there is a CLI for GitHub. I just haven't used it much.
Yeah, like it's the nice thing about it is you can create a repo and basically make like an upstream at the same time, like, and make it like a private repo, which is good because I have lots of Git repositories all over my computer, and like I find it good practice to actually back them up to Git like as private repos. But the extra step required to like create it on the GitHub web interface and then to add an upstream and whatever is sometimes a pain. So then I kind of had this epiphany a while ago, because I also knew that it exists. I was like, maybe you can do this with like the repo. And you can also like fork like
another repo directly from the URL.
From the CLI. Yeah.
That's
exactly.
sweet. Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, like you can even manage PR somehow with the CLI. I've read at
theoretically. Although I don't know if that would be like, probably if you manage a lot of PRs, maybe that makes sense. But right now, just the things that I do a lot are creating repos and So another idea that I had is like to like create a Git repo, put my devlog in there, then create a submodule, and then make that the actual repo. And then like if I ever make the repo public, then I can still have the other one private, like the one containing it, and I can still like link to files in it and whatever.
Which makes a lot of sense, because I feel like a lot of the devlogs that I have usually span multiple repos, because then there's like a couple of utils that you're building, and then there's this other thing, and having them as submodules of this overarching project actually is a very sensible setup. Yeah.
So that's actually like, this is the first project where I'm kind of doing this. Although I have to say I haven't actually, like, I have made a Git repo and I've added the submodules, but I haven't actually checked the devlog into Git yet, and I haven't checked if it works properly. But yeah, this is kind of my idea that I want to do this like going forward. Because
that's a really interesting idea. I'm probably gonna adopt that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so I have like, it's not really a devlog, but I am building this tool now, where I have all my entire engineering board is inside of a Git repo, and I basically extract the Kanban view from it. And whenever things are done, I mark them as done inside of effectively what now is becoming a kind of like an impromptu devlog. But the actual artifacts that I'm building are not submodules of it. They're actually separate repos. So I have like an Intel repo in which I have my boards and blah, blah, blah. And then I have like artifact 1, artifact 2. And I never thought of basically making the artifacts a submodule of this thing, but it would be brilliant, because now I could pin things, have the versions to it. I could go to a version of the devlog that would provide me directly the corresponding refs on the submodules. That would be extremely helpful. Super idea. Thanks for that. Yeah. You, right? You don't have to work with a large team together.
Yeah.
So the tooling can be perfectly adapted to your needs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there like any form of interim reporting that you do? That's probably just a chat.
Yeah. I basically just chat. The thing is, like, actually, my supervisor does know Agda.
Does know?
Doesn't. Like, it's funny. He does category theory, and he writes like theoretical category theory papers and like, pen and paper proofs. Or not proofs, shall I say? And so it's like my idea to like do Agda. There's another guy at the chair who does do Agda, and actually like recently I've started talking to him and getting his help and stuff. So that's really good, because otherwise I'd be like on my own. But yeah, so because my main supervisor doesn't actually do Agda, he also wants me to like go beyond just formalizing it. Like he wants me to look at like there's like 2 different avenues that you could go down, like in the theory to look at the paper more theoretically. But like right now, I'm like I really want to do the Agda thing, so I do have to I have to not spend too much time on formalizing. Like I have to kind of finish parts of formalization and then go back to the theory, and then go and formalize it again, because otherwise my supervisor will be like,
Exactly.
like I will have to also like write a report and then like lots of like LaTeX diagrams and whatever, like as one does.
But yeah. By the way, the writing of your LaTeX, where do you do this?
So sometimes I do it like in share LaTeX if I can't be fucking bothered to do it in Nix. But in the past, like if I've needed like special fonts or something, like I've done it in Nix. The problem is, so this really sucks about LaTeX package management. Like they have a different philosophy for packages, which is like packages don't entirely specify their dependencies. They use what's there. Like you will literally have like in a package, like in a LaTeX package, you'll see like a conditional statement, like if this package exists, use this one, otherwise use another one to build it. Also, LaTeX has this idea like, oh, you never need to do package management because we just always install all of the packages. Kind of, you'll just install like, I don't know, a gigantic thing that like has packages for chemistry and stuff. And I'm like, no, I don't want to have all the packages because I'm a stickler for detail, as Nix people I think are tend to be. And so then what you have to do is you have to just add the packages that you're using and then see what the compilation errors are, and then add like basically transient dependencies yourself. And there's so the only place where you can report like dependencies is like this random mailing list. I think for like the tech user group mailing list, where you have to tell them, hey, package X has transitive dependency Y and Z. And then like I did it like for a few packages, and like sometimes they don't even believe you. They're like, are you sure it's not a conditional dependency? And like they just kind of globally add this. Like, so a package might have a change in dependencies, but they don't even care because everything is like built. Anyway, it's really a horror story.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so
Jeez. Okay. I can understand that that's painful. You said share LaTeX. I didn't know that. Is that something like Overleaf?
Oh, Overleaf. Yeah, sorry. It used to be called share LaTeX and it became Overleaf like a while ago. So yeah, it's just the same thing.
I have to like admit, like I do this horrible thing that is not quite the same, but let me just present my screen. So I think if you look at my screen, you'll briefly see, let me just make this full screen. I have like a make file that spins up a Docker container that has everything set up. And I think I just pulled down this Docker container from ADNRV TextLife. It had almost everything that I needed. And at some point I couldn't be bothered. I tried to install TextLive and then cherry pick what I really needed, and then I would have it a couple of times that that basically things would break. And I built all of my invoices with LaTeX, so I needed something stable. And this is what it became. So yeah, I haven't figured this one out either.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I can like briefly show you like a shell.nix that I have for some project. Let me see. Oh, I have so many shell.nixes open right now. There's not even.
It's a bunch of them.
It's really funny. I can like see my progression through Nix writing, like based on how I used to write my shells. Like in the beginning, I would just like have really simple shells. Then at some point, I started pinning at least the hash, like in the like Nix like instead of just importing the global Nix packages, because like it hurt me a few times that it didn't have pinned shells. Then there was a time when I was using Lori.
Lori. I've been using Niv a lot.
Yeah, I looked at Niv and I was like, oh my god, this generates so many extra files, like this JSON file for pinning and stuff. So for me, like I was like pinning with just the hash of the repo in the normal shell was kind of enough for me. I didn't want to do Niv also because because the projects I do are usually like for academic things. I don't maintain them for very long, so I've almost never actually had to update the pinned package.
I see.
Let me see. And so then I basically went over from pinning it like in the Nix shells to actually just like making full blown flakes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I've tried to go to full blown flakes for many things. I haven't succeeded. So I think I still have a couple of things where I use niv, um,
Hmm.
a couple of things where I use flakes, and I don't remember exactly why. I think I ran into some weird edge case where flakes weren't ready to do that. I don't even know if flakes are still experimental. Are they officially mainline now?
Um, I don't know. Like there are kind of conflicting informations on that.
Hmm.
Like I'm not entirely sure on the state. Okay, for some reason my file won't open. This is weird. Um,
Wow, wow, wow.
okay, that's funny. Um, yeah. Uh,
Okay.
is
Yeah,
my
this looks
screen?
familiar. This is kind of exactly what I have in my Nix config somewhere, like text live. I think I'm building my config now mostly through Home Manager, so I'm probably having it
Hmm.
somewhere in my Home Manager config.
Yeah. Yeah. I never actually. I never managed to kind of make the step to Home Manager.
Hmm.
Uh, I think a reason is because also I only have one laptop. A friend of mine has
Hmm.
two devices, and like he told me that that is like one of the main selling points for Home Manager, um, because then you can really like share your config across
Machine.
devices.
Yeah, yeah. I have like multiple laptops actually. Um,
Hmm.
I have like my little go-to Dell, which is NixOS, which I used to synchronize with my big workstation here. And now I have like another MacBook, and I had Nix configured on the MacBook. So I had in my Nix config, I had like a Darwin specific part of it that was borrowing from a shared like base
Yeah.
config. And I have to figure out if I can actually get it running again, because
Okay.
that would be the dream. And then Home
Yeah.
Manager for just the things that I update more regularly, that
Hmm.
would be nice. Um, so I don't know if that works really well on the MacBook. I'll have to figure it out. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Uh,
for the switching between machines, it was extremely helpful, I have to say.
yeah. I have to confess actually that the stuff that needs to be updated sometimes I just have in my NixEnv,
Ah,
like
okay.
in my imperative state, because like Discord will always be like, you cannot use this Discord version anymore, and
Yeah,
Signal actually does the same thing. And then what I would do before would I'd have to like rebuild my entire Nix system, which would really
yeah.
suck because then stuff could break, and so I just have them in my NixEnv, and then everything else is in shells. And then like the global config, I have like a few things. I think my Emacs is in there. So I
Okay.
kind of need to rebuild the system every once in a while if I need to install a new Emacs package.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Is your are your dot envs is somewhere in GitHub publicly, or are they mostly just private?
No, they're like private because I don't know.
Bunch of secret sauce in there or private information?
No, I think they're mostly. So I have finally like a while ago I finally did a bit of like dot file management at least. I used
Hmm.
I think it's called GNU Stow, where you put like all your files like in
Yeah.
directories, and then I put them somewhere. It's like I looked into different things, but like I never did the home manager, so I was like, okay, well I need something because I was
Yeah.
updating stuff. And the problem is if you don't like track your dot files, then you end up with lots of commented out code because you're like, I don't want to throw this away, but then your code is like garbage, and you don't have
Yeah.
like semantic commits and all of the other bad things that happen. So I was like, okay, I have to do something. So that like I set up GNU Stow, um, and I use that now, but I haven't really checked. I think like I have like for example, I think I have like my SSH configuration in there, and there might be some secrets. I'm not sure. Like
Mm.
I just I never felt like my stuff was kind of, I don't know, crazy enough to put out there. Although I have to say, like, it really does help to put it out there. Like I once wanted to figure out how to use like a particular like Emacs package, which is called like multi-mode. And this was when I was writing. So I was writing my Haskell presentation in literate Haskell, and basically you have LaTeX and then you have blocks of Haskell code. But I wanted syntax
Mhm.
highlighting for both of them. It's actually really funny. Like GitHub literally is smart enough to do syntax highlighting for LaTeX and Haskell in literate Haskell files. Like it does the switch. So I was
Oh,
like, well, if
really?
GitHub can do it, like I absolutely. I refused to like live with an Emacs that cannot, like I was like, I'm not gonna, it's not gonna be my
Stand for
life.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So then I looked at this mode and then it didn't work. And then I did, so like global GitHub search. I use this all the time to try to figure out like if there's like missing documentation for something. I'm
Sure.
like, okay, someone in the world must have used this. And then I like search all of GitHub. And then sometimes you find the things and you're like, oh, so this actually kind of adds to the documentation of things in like an
Yeah.
implicit way. Um, like it's literally at this point, it's like on my list of finding documentations. There's some things like ask a question, read the docs, whatever. And then at some point, is search all GitHub.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. I
yeah,
feel you there, but I mean, I think the sharing part, exactly that. I mean, like the whole we started off with you telling me that you found something on the internet that I wrote a
yeah,
long time ago. Like I couldn't have figured that anyone would find it remotely useful. I like even the streams. I took on the philosophy that anything I put out there is just a note for future self in case I forget
hmm,
and I need that reference.
yeah,
And then once in a while you get an email or like a fun conversation with you where you're like reminded like, oh yeah, people can see this and might help someone. it's
yeah,
it's just unclear to me right now how it would help anyone.
yeah,
Yeah. That would be actually cool to then to just publish some of that online, because then other folks that are like globally grepping GitHub can
yeah,
have a flying chance in hell to stumble across your stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's true.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think also
Cool.
like I have, I don't know. I think I have lots of repos that are private that maybe could be public, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like the other side of this is littering GitHub, because I have a bunch of repos on
Hmm.
GitHub that I don't think are useful at all, that I haven't archived and that I'm not paying any
Hmm.
attention to. So I get a bunch of these like auto bot emails that packages need to be updated that I'm just
Oh
constantly
yeah.
ignoring.
Oh
Yeah.
God, I have like I have one repo that is doing this. I have like some dependent bot or whatever, and it's just
Exactly.
pumping
That
some
one.
dependency for some shit. And so, but this repo is like, I actually, so how like I want to write my blog post. This is like my, I've wanting to do this for like 2 years or something. I bought a
Hmm.
domain for 10 years. Okay, I was like, I'm committed, and then I like set up a template, and then I was like, fuck, that this is where it stops.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
So that's my repo. I keep getting like the dependent bot messages, like some
Yeah.
dependencies have been bumped. I'm like, okay.
I think at some point you can unsubscribe, but I remember it being like a whole list of like unsubscribe, unsubscribe, and then I was like, yeah, screw this, I'm not gonna do that. I'm probably just gonna block GitHub altogether, but that's also not a solution.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
funny. Huh? I'm scrolling through your GitHub profile now, so I'm
Yeah.
see. Oh, also touch Scala, sometimes Java. Oh my goodness, that's an interesting one. I feel like for someone who's touched Haskell, Scala, currently looking into Agda, how's your user experience working in Java?
It's terrible. Well, it's pretty bad. Like, it gets better with every Java version because they keep adding more functional features.
Exactly.
But yeah, like this is like I worked at a company writing Java code. Like that's my only like experience in industry, just writing
Hmm.
Java code so far. All of my other work has been as like a
Academic.
teaching assistant, exactly for various courses.
Hmm.
And so there I would, yeah, I don't know, you use optional and then you want to kind of map over an optional, and then you see that the dot if present doesn't work if the function pointer you're passing like can throw an exception because like it doesn't work, and
Yeah.
you just keep hitting limitations basically. That's been my experience. And sometimes you also have colleagues that are annoyed if you write like functional code. They're like, I can't
Oh
read
yeah.
this, rewrite this. I'm like, but no, beautiful.
Exactly. Let's just mutate things globally and heavy object inheritance constellations that are
Yeah,
impossible to keep in your head effectively.
yeah,
I've seen a good share of like Java horror code. Not to say that Java is a bad language, I just think that you can write really bad software in it.
yeah,
Yeah. But yeah, it's a good thing that a lot of these ideas are leaking into from FP are leaking into other all languages effectively, are taking
yeah,
notes. And I think it's kind of like a nice accident, happy accident that I think kind of coincided with, oh, we're probably going to leverage GPUs more. We need to think about like parallelizing stuff, map
Yeah.
reduce, and all that jazz. And all of a sudden,
Yeah.
there's a clear business need to get this done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I
like
like that.
writing higher level languages and then writing smarter compilers. That's basically just the way to go. Because you can hand
Hmm.
optimize code, but then when you write code for like lots of different architectures and the architectures change and all of this kind of stuff, like
Yeah.
at some point, even if your compiler like will not optimize everything to the level of some person that like perfectly knows some architecture, like in most cases it will, and that's kind of the point. Like,
Yeah. Yep. 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 Absolutely. Oh, this is cool, man. This could be like a podcast.
yeah, right. I was thinking we've been talking so long. This is like it feels like a podcast episode.
Absolutely. Oh
This week
goodness.
I'm talking to Cass Alexandru, who's currently doing Agda, but also like shares interest in a lot of technologies that I do, and we exchange some knowledge and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, this is like the hacker firesides, like chatting about our toolboxes, what we're struggling with, languages for learning.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of like nice. I find it always nice to see how other people are kind of like learning things in public. I watch George Hotz's streams a lot, and I find that such an eccentric character because
Uh-huh.
the things that George is doing like are way above my pay grade.
Hmm.
And the fact that George is doing this publicly, that's another thing that I find extremely fascinating.
Hmm.
And I used to have like George Hotz on God level almost,
Uh-huh.
and now I can watch George struggle with things where I'm like, maybe I probably knew how to figure that out. So you can kind of like appreciate that
Yeah.
things are like everyone is learning, and some people are just like orders of magnitude better in certain things, definitely. So credit
Yeah.
to George where credit is due. Um, but it's just fun to see like there's always this kind of like human element to superhuman like characters
Hmm.
even. And
Yeah.
then with you, I'm like Agda, oh my goodness, like Haskell, oh my goodness. But then, we have our struggles with tool like configuration of our system. And you're like, that's
Yeah.
relatable. Like I
Exactly.
understand that moderately.
Yeah.
So cool. Ah, so let's see if we can get some work done. I think
Yeah.
we have to pin one screen, so I'm probably just gonna put your screen up, and then I'm gonna put you on a side monitor. I guess the setup is gonna look more or less like, I guess this is kind of like my big monitor. This is
Hmm.
gonna be the side monitor, so I'm gonna move you over there so I can see you. And then I'm
Hmm.
gonna be working on my other thing there. And I believe that if you look down in the bottom left, there are some
Hmm.
controls to switch add to stream. Do you have permission to switch that?
Let me see. It says okay.
Because then you could just do your thing, and when you feel like I don't want to share my screen anymore, you could just like drop mine in, and then it automatically switches over.
No, I cannot like drop yours in. I can only stop sharing.
Oh, really? Okay, then that's an interesting thing to figure out. Is there some permission stuff that I can do? So there are a lot of things happening in this stream. I'm learning the tool. Um, I'm learning about um, Agda, just nerding out in general. Yeah, okay. I guess I can't do that here. Okay, so that's something that I figured out today. Um, cool. So I think then you just tell me when you want to do a handover, when you feel like,
Yeah.
I don't want to share anymore. I don't know if you're a loud programmer or a
Uh,
quiet one.
well, usually I have to sit in the office, so then I don't say anything because
Quiet. Okay.
But maybe I'll
If you're
make some
bothered
sense.
by my mumbling, you just tell me to shut the hell up.
Sure thing. But I think I can also live with mumbling. I also put like I usually put like some soundtrack a bit in the background. It helps.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like do you have in-ear sound, or how does it work for you?
Yeah, I just have like wired.
Ah, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Because this thing is streaming to YouTube. I know they'll ban me if I have like copyright
Yeah.
violations on the stream.
Nah, no worries. It's all in my head.
Awesome. Cool, cool, cool.
Yeah.
This definitely feels more like working together.
Yeah.
Love it. Mhm. What's an Agda? I can block. I always get like some spam actors in YouTube, can block them. It's actually such a satisfying feeling to block something. Block. Yes. Nice. In terms of entry, do you like \alpha to enter alpha, or is there like some special binding that you use for that?
I use a special keyboard layout called Neo, which allows me to directly enter Greek letters and mathematical symbols.
That's next level, yeah. Okay.
Like I can write for all epsilon, there exists delta such that, I don't know, A.
Wow.
A implies.
Ooh, wow. Okay, you're definitely deep down the math rabbit hole. This is dope.
Yeah. Okay, this is maps 2. I can't figure out where implication is. Like I don't know this layout entirely by heart. There's obviously also an input mode, like because so Agda uses a shit ton of Unicode. Like for everything. Like you literally use like Unicode subscripts and stuff. Like here, this is a Unicode subscript.
Oh wow, okay.
This is literally subscript V. Like if I do describe char, like it'll tell me
Yeah.
Latin subscript small letter V. And Agda has these ways like for inputting them, and like you use it because you do mathematical notation. And I guess like Unicode, like if you didn't have all of this Unicode stuff, you would probably have to like literally write this kind of code like in a rich RTF editor or something, because you can just not express the mathematical stuff as concisely without Unicode.
Sure.
So do you use a lot of this? Yeah.
Yeah, I remember there's like this Emacs mode. I don't know if it's like a breath like that allows you to just type like / whatever, and then it converts into. And I think I had something enabled a while ago that would allow me to type more or less LaTeX syntax and then have it converted.
Yeah, there's literally an input. So Emacs has this notion of input methods, right? Like of how to input stuff. And there's the LaTeX input method, which will do this. Like you input the LaTeX afkorting for something, and then it'll input the Unicode. Agda has its own input mode, which has like shorthand for commonly used LaTeX stuff.
I see.
Because you just need to input so much Unicode that like you can't even be bothered to write all the normal usual LaTeX commands for them.
Oh my goodness, I can't help myself right now. I have to do this. If I were to ask you, and bear with me, I'm not as inducted into the world of FP. What is your definition of monad?
Well, my definition of monad is just that monad is a monoid in the category of endofunctors.
Endofunctors. Oh, yeah, I say that. I don't understand what it means. So break it down for me.
So the thing is, I think a lot of people. Do you know Impure Pigs?
No.
They're like a Twitter thing, and they make like really funny like meme type pictures about functional programming. And they also share this philosophy, which is like monad tutorials always try to break monads down into something simpler. But I would just not try to do that. So I do feel like there's ways to kind of introduce monads better than the way that they are like done in Haskell. For example, like you can, so like the usual way to define a monad in Haskell is like the bind operator, right? Which says like bind has the type MA to A to MB.
Yeah.
To MB. And this operator, I don't know, it's not very legible. I don't find it very legible. You can also, and so you need this and you need return, right? Another way to define a monad, and this is where it actually much more relates to this being a monad in the category of endofunctors, is you define it with return and join. Join is also like a monadic function that you can find in the Haskell library, which goes from m of a to m of a. It basically takes two levels of your nesting and reduces
Unwraps.
them. Like it collapses them. Like if you think about flatten,
yeah,
like that, or like in Haskell you would call this concat. Like it goes from list of a to list of a.
Yeah.
And so you can actually define bind in terms of join and fmap. So let's say let's call this ma and then bind a to b. I think that was a bit of a trick to do it in your head, but okay, we have a to mb. Oh yeah, right. The way to do this is like if I have an m of a and a to mb, then if I fmap my a to mb over ma, then I'll get an m of b. Fmap a to mb ma. And then if I join that, then I'll get the right type.
Okay. That looks a little. I can like imagine what fmap does in my head already. I can also imagine what join does more from the signature, which makes it a little easier to think about.
Like if you think about it for lists, like this would be like I have a function from A to a list of Bs. If I fmap that function over a list of A's, then I'll get a list of Bs, right? And then to turn that back into a list of Bs, I just have to flatten it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sweet. That's a really nice way to do that.
Yeah. And so that's another way of thinking about like a monad as a type constructor which like allows these two signatures. And then actually the unit laws, and I think basically when you express it like this, I don't know it exactly out of my head, but when you express it like this, the monad laws look way more like the monoid laws, because they're actually just expressing that this is a monad in the category of endofunctors. Like if you I think return oh yeah, I think you use like monadic composition there, something like that. I'm not sure. Okay, no, like so monadic composition is basically you have the Kleisli category, which is like a category that's induced over a monad. I don't know like much more out of my head because I don't.
Yeah, but you intuitively know how to use them, so that's what really matters at the end of the day, I guess. Yeah.
Like basically, I would not ask. I think to ask the question, what is a monad, is the wrong question to ask. I think the right question is, or it's not even a question. The right thing to do is to learn lots of things that are monads until you have an intuition, which you cannot spell out what a monad is, because it's actually, like, if you really think about it, it's just an abstract interface. It is whatever you make it to be. You know, it's anything that like that an deze definities voldoet. And that that follows the laws, and then that's it. That big
the requirements. Yeah, this is interesting what you're saying. You just said like learn the intuition, because maybe it's really hard to basically express that in natural language almost. I listened to this podcast with Andrej, Karpathy, and Fridman over the past week. I don't know if you're familiar with Lex, but he has like these really interesting podcasts, and Andrej Karpathy was with OpenAI for a bit, and with Tesla, and is probably one of the leading figures when it comes to modern machine learning. So when it comes to things like transformers, when it comes to like things, language models, that's a good brain to pick. And he suggested that we may not have the right kind of information to train general intelligence based on written text, because not everything that we know is expressed in written text. And when you said that, I was like, oh, that's a really interesting point, because just looking at the corpus of written text that we have, like, I don't know if a machine would have the ability to induce intuitively what a monad is. Probably would be able to regurgitate a couple of like formal definitions, and be really stuck with that. And maybe that's also my problem. I've been trying to read about it to try to understand what the hell is this thing. And then you said, like, just use it, build the intuition. It's basically like playing with a ball. That's a
Yeah.
really clever take. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
so the way that you struggle with monad, like I struggle with other like more advanced category theory topics like adjoints. And so like currently my idea is also just kind of learn it on demand, and like there's some papers that are like, okay, this is an adjoint. So my thinking goes like, if I stumble across something like that in a paper, then I'll try to understand what this thing is, and then that will start to give me like a one example of what an adjoint is, and then
Yeah.
I'll see more examples, and at some point I have like an intuition about it.
Yeah.
And I think this is just a better way of going about it than trying to figure out, okay, what is this abstract thing.
I think it's a very good way to go about learning in general, is to just play more and develop that intuition, and maybe be a little less fixated on necessarily having a mapping of that intuition to words like
Yeah.
English. Yeah.
Yeah, because like if you look at learning, actually, what our brain does, like we build these networks, and then basically kind of a lot of this stuff gets compressed in a way. So that I watched like this talk about, like, there's this talk on YouTube, like some learning expert was talking about this. And yeah, in the sense, I think like this compressed understanding that you have of some topic in the end that's in your brain is not expressible. You cannot translate it back into an explanation. This is why also teaching is sometimes hard, and especially when you've done something for super long,
Yeah.
that you don't understand what people struggle with anymore, because to you, like, those questions don't present themselves.
Yeah.
Because you kind of just have like, you're already at the level where like the knowledge of that thing has been compiled like down to machine code, because you execute it so often. And then you're having these poor students that are trying to interpret it, and then they're getting, I don't know, parsing errors, and you're like, what? You're just
I can't
operating on a different
comprehend.
level.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Which is then, because that also brings me to another thing. Like, it's a common what like a saying out there, that you only really understand something if you can explain it very well. And I kind of disagree with the premise in some area, because there are things that you understand very well for which you just lack the language. Because they're so internalized. There's like just intuition. um,
Yeah.
and yeah, I feel that also within teaching, exactly, it's not a rule that your understanding of a concept will correspond with or correlate with your ability to explain it very well.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, this is
funny.
why I also think that sometimes the people that are like, less galaxy brain are better teachers, because they're
Mhm.
closer to the student's understanding of something. And so they will
Yeah.
understand more what the likely problems are that students will struggle with. Like, I
Mhm.
think that if you're very brilliant and you understand something very well, like in the moment, you might be able to explain it in a way that students understand. But what you will definitely struggle with is when you're like making exercises or something, to write them in a way that they catch the kind of things that students are likely to struggle with. Because
Yeah.
if you don't understand what the difficulties are that someone even might be facing with a particular task, then how are you going to write exercises? Because
Yeah.
kind of that's the point in exercises, to tease out those areas, to tease out the edge cases, to tease out the places where people's intuitions about something might be wrong, and to make them realize like that intuition is wrong by making them stumble. Kind of, I think
Yeah.
a lot of um, like the notion of a litmus test.
Yeah.
Um,
I know the
yeah,
notion of this.
I feel like writing good exercises is basically kind of a series of litmus tests, kind of really simple things where people will stumble over. Because
Mhm.
I feel like if your exercises are written like that, then you make the students like stumble over a bunch of different things, but also you help them catch, right? Like you kind of, it's kind of like making them trip, and then but
Yeah.
also having like a mattress ready to
Yeah.
catch
Yeah.
them. And that's kind of my ideal in my head, like the ideal way that you would write exercises, because like with a minimal effort you tease out all of the places where like they're likely to go wrong, where they're likely to have a wrong intuition, because otherwise they will, like, if you don't catch those cases in the beginning, they will stumble across them anyway, probably later on, and then there
Sure.
won't be a mattress to catch them, and then they will like fall on their face. um,
Exactly. And I mean, even if they stumble over the same things, I think once you've stumbled over something before, you're probably more mindful. I think you probably train that intuition of this might be something where I need to pay more attention.
Yeah,
Um,
and that's really important actually, like especially when people are learning new things, because the main problem you have when you're learning something new is you don't know what to pay attention to. You don't know where
yeah,
your errors might be coming from. Um,
yeah,
I think basically, like what tends to happen is that something goes wrong, and then you have no idea where to look for the source of the error. And when you have some experience with the field, when you have some intuition, like something goes wrong, and then you kind of know, oh, I think it might be going on, like
oh, yeah,
might be going
tell
wrong
me,
there.
yeah,
um and so I think a lot of students need this in the beginning also, like you need to help them delineate like what is kind of just surface syntax and what is really meaningful, what makes a meaningful difference in what they're doing, so that they look there, instead of getting stuck on kind of the superficialities.
yeah. I feel you completely. Like, for story of my life, every time I'm debugging things, or we'll sit seated with another developer, and maybe they're not seeing it, and then I'm like, ah, but maybe you should poke there, and just intuitively, a couple of things are more likely to be the source of an issue than
Yeah,
others. Yeah, it's really fun to observe that at work in troubleshooting.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I also always observe students asking me like, "What if you try this?" And then they're like saying to try something that are like I know is like entirely unrelated, but
Mhm.
I know it's entirely unrelated because I have the experience, I have the confidence. So then that helps you exclude so many possible sources. Whereas when you first start with something, everything could be a possible source of error. Like if I don't
Absolutely.
understand, I also have this idea that basically, if I don't understand why something works in the first place, right? This can happen. Then if it breaks, I'm fucked, you
Yeah, yeah,
know?
yeah,
Because
absolutely.
because how can you find out like where something broke if you didn't know how it worked in the first place? You have to have at least some idea of what makes something go. And I've really
Hmm.
had this, like I've had this happen to me with like with real world objects. Like I had a blender. I think like I managed to ruin like 3 blenders like in a row, by overheating them, because I was like I didn't understand how the mechanism worked. And then like the third time, like I actually cut it open and I looked at the electromotor and whatever,
Yeah.
and and then I was like, oh, okay, I get like what's happening now. And so then like I don't make that mistake again. But like for some reason sometimes like I have to break things in order to know why they break. Which is
Fair
not that
enough.
great, but yeah, like if you learn from it.
Story of everyone's life, I believe. I mean, like it's how we learn how to like maneuver the world. We learn how to not touch fire. Like we got burned at some point, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, burning is learning, I guess.
yeah. Well, I really feel like we could just upload uh
Yeah,
the
I'm
stream
probably
part that
like,
we've talked about as a podcast.
yeah, right. I feel the same way. Like I'm probably going to ask someone on Upwork to like annotate the video with chapters on YouTube, and then
Hmm.
maybe extract an audio part of that, and then I'll see what we do with it. But this is really cool. Also, I'm thinking that for the next time you wanna have a chat, just hop in. Like I'm not so sure because it was an experiment. I was not so sure if I would actually be working or
Hmm.
chatting. I'm guessing, in all fairness, I have to factor in that this is the first time we meet, and that's why we're
Yeah,
talking more. If we do this a second time, probably we get more work done. So
yeah.
it's in all fairness, I can still say like this was super successful experiment. I have not confirmed that I can work during these, but it was totally worthwhile to have this chat.
Yeah.
So I'm doing repeats of this, and also I'm only doing like the scheduled streams. I'm only doing on Wednesdays. I can grant myself at least a few hours of just nerding out time. I think it's also healthy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if it's the same person hopping in the stream that I've probably seen like 4 times already, probably rework a little bit more.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mm.
fair enough. Wow. Yeah. I'm gonna get on the whole podcasting thing because I really like the idea.
Mhm.
You also said like a lot of really interesting things for budding programmers like myself.
Mm.
Mhm. All right. Hmm. Uh, this is weird. Hmm. Okay. You use like vterm a lot, or
vTerm?
yeah,
What is that?
like the kind of like a terminal emulator inside of Emacs. Or do
Uh, no, I usually like if I launch a terminal, I just launch an asynchronous process and then I launch Alacrity.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Is vTerm like an alternative to eShell?
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, although eShell is actually a proper terminal emulator, and with
Mm-hmm.
vterm, it's kind of like Alacrity for Emacs, I believe.
Oh, okay.
So I run just a pretty regular shell in there. I run my Z shell instances in there, but there are like a lot of things that are really lovely about it, and then a bunch of things that are really painful, because of course there's all this kind of like calculating of the frames and the widths
Mm-hmm.
that have to work well. There was one thing that was really slick is that I could jump between prompts, so I could skip long like swaths of text in case that there was a lot of output from a command. And I think I
Oh,
broke
that
it
is nice.
recently. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
so I was able to like control C, control P to go
Mm-hmm.
to the previous prompt, and it would
Mm.
skip then whatever's in between, and I broke it again. And I'm constantly broken things in vterm, so
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's really funny. Like when I first started NixOS, the thing that I originally wanted to use EXWM, the Emacs
Oh,
window manager.
yeah.
uh, I stopped. Like I gave up on that because I remember like some programs wouldn't even open properly
Mm,
in a window. But it does have something because so like now what I have is like I have my shortcuts for switching between buffers in Emacs. Then I have my alt tab for switching between open windows. Then I have my control tab for switching between windows like in Firefox. And I feel like a
yeah.
lot of it is kind of duplication.
Yeah.
Like in an ideal world, you would have one thing for switching. I think
That's
maybe.
context
Um,
aware.
yeah,
Yeah.
or that like you could theoretically like instead of having tabs, you could theoretically have all of instead of opening tabs, you open windows and then they become Emacs buffers, and you could switch between them, like just using the Emacs buffer switching stuff. But then
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know. I gave up on it, and now I think also like the thing is these days I have like lots of different Firefox windows open. I also have like lots of different workspaces because I work on different things,
Sure.
and then I just keep the tabs alive there as well. So in that sense, I don't know, probably not like emulate that as well in Emacs.
Yeah, I think it's a good call to keep the complexity low on the Emacs config. Yeah,
Yeah, because else you have to like learn advanced elisp and stuff.
exactly. That's not trivial for me at least. And
Mm.
I also have to say, like, I love Emacs as an editor. I cringe sometimes when I read the source code, or when I'm trying to read packages,
Mm-hmm.
because like everything is effectively global state changes,
Yeah. Mm.
which makes it really hard for me to sometimes wrap my mind around what's going on, where, who's
Yeah.
changing what. Uh,
Yeah. I did like really recently write something nifty. Like when I
mhm.
so for one of the courses where I grade assignments, I have like there's like these exercises like the weekly assignments have sub exercises and all of them
Mhm.
get like a certain number of points and at the end I have to add them together. And in the beginning I was doing this in my head and then I was like, this sucks.
Yeah.
So then I wrote like it was a bit painful, but I managed. Like I wrote an Emacs script that like I write like I don't know something like 5 points like PTS, and then I have
Mhm.
like a regex that like collects all of the instances of the
Ooh.
points things, and then
Yeah,
like it actually adds the stuff together, and then spits out the result at the end. Um,
that's
and
nifty.
that yeah, and I don't know. That's really like something you could only really do this in Emacs, like within the editor. Just like write a command that just freaking does this. Like
Yeah, I hear you there. Like I've slowly but surely, I think every month I am inching a little bit closer to like basically changing Emacs into some form of a billing system because I have like little bits of information that are there on all the invoices that I send out, and gradually I'm already sending all of the email generation stuff is basically automated in Emacs, and now
Mhm.
much of the generating of the PDF itself is also more and more getting cooked or baked into Emacs.
Mhm.
And it's indeed easy to just kind of like write a basic function that then walks through the buffer, grabs whatever it needs, looks into the property. In the org case, there are actually convenient functions to grab like properties inside of a heading and then
Mhm.
just run calculations on them. So yeah, I think it's really convenient that this tool allows for it. And I've looked into VS Code, but you really have to write extensions. It's not like you can
Yeah.
just spin up kind of like a console and just start
Mhm.
doing stuff in JavaScript, it feels like.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing that I like. I mean, VS Code is kind of really taking the programming world by storm. I feel like
Hmm.
a lot of places that used to have like Emacs mode, like some are even like switching to VS Code as their main thing. But that's
Yeah,
also, yeah, that's the thing. The fact that you like literally have to write like an extension that then maybe you have to put on like some marketplace. I mean, not
yeah,
necessarily, but it feels such a, or like for example for IntelliJ, you can theoretically extend IntelliJ, but like I've never met anyone that does that. Um, and that's why I
mm,
feel like Emacs is just the barrier to entry is so low. You can just start out by
true.
like literally just like writing some elisp stuff into your init file, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I also actually feel this way about Nix. Like so in previous operating systems, I would never have done something like write a systemd service. Like because it's just like, what the hell, you know? But
Yeah,
then in Nix, it's like it's really easy. Like there's like amenity functions to do it, and so you're actually much more likely to kind of configure your system than in places where, I don't know, yeah, where the barrier is just so high.
fair enough. Yeah, I have the same thing. I feel like I'm cooking up systemd services a little, like I don't think about it. I had to write like some mail syncing stuff, defining like basically systemd and units was a trivial task in Nix. Um,
Yeah,
but I would have to think about, okay, so where do I put this now? And how do I call systemd? And is there another file where I have to like bootstrap this? Is it like my
yeah.
profile, whatever? I don't even know anymore how that works. Yeah, funny. I think it's also kind of cool that for some weird reason, I used Emacs a lot in the whole school,
Hmm.
and then I forgot about it, and then I went full Vim for a long time.
Damn.
Um,
Okay.
then by accident, I kind of like stumbled upon Emacs again recently, um, like maybe last year, and I'm kind of like surprised how much the ecosystem has kind of like grown meanwhile in a very positive way. So that's
Uh-huh.
really cool. I'm really happy to see that this editor is nowhere close to dying, or
Hmm.
this basically Lisp interpreter. uh,
Yeah, I stumbled across, or I stumbled into Emacs because that was when I wrote my first Haskell compiler. Um,
mhm.
I think I was using Gedit or something, or Genie, like some sort of one of those graphical editors that you have on Linux distros. Um,
Yeah.
and I remember I wrote code for like 5 hours, and then I spent another 2 hours fixing all of the compiler messages because I hadn't compiled it in between. And then I was like, I need like some sort of IDE thing for Haskell. And the
Yeah.
only existing thing at the time was called Intero, and this was an Emacs thing. So I basically got into Emacs because of Haskell. And like some years later, I would have been able to use VS Code. So I don't know, like maybe I would have like
The other way
gone Emacs.
around, possibly timing,
Yeah,
eh?
yeah, who
Yeah.
knows?
Who knows? Too late now. Uh,
No, but like Emacs has evolved. Like they also added support for emojis and stuff, which find very important. I like to
yeah.
express myself with emojis, and before like they had the problem that like you could input some of them, but it was like awkward, and like especially the
Yeah.
ones that are like combined with various glyphs, like they would
Exactly.
get split up into the different glyphs. I still have like in my init file, I have like a test thing where I'm like this sequence of characters should be displayed as one emoji, and then I updated like from Emacs 27 to 28, and then it was actually one emoji instead of like three separate weird characters. And I was like,
Yeah.
yes, Emacs is
Finally.
moving into the 21st century.
Absolutely. It's moving. It's moving. I'm happy about that. Uh, funny to hear that you're also using emojis a lot, because I use them to almost excessive degree in my writing. I don't think everyone is amused by it.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
some people. I had like the person that I knew, like I had to write a text for like a newsletter that they were putting out. And I put emojis in my text, and they just removed the emojis from my text when they put
What?
it in the news. Yeah,
But that's like that's basically adapting the meaning of the text. I feel like
yeah.
today, like emojis, they say a picture speaks 1,000 words. So for every emoji you remove, you basically remove like multiple paragraphs. Uh, 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 mhm.
Woohoo! Yay!
Is something working?
Yes, something works.
Let's
So,
see.
my definition type checks.
Sweet.
I'm not sure why I didn't have type check before, but yeah, basically here I'm expressing like that a particular diagram commutes. Like, I have it on my tablet. I could share it there. Oh, actually, wait, no, I can show you which diagram. See, it's. Okay, so it's not exactly this diagram, but it's fairly close. It's an instance of this diagram. Basically, I just want to say that going down this, like this path, is the same as going down, like taking these 3 steps.
I see.
The
Okay.
way I'm expressing it is basically so C after A. So here C is bubble and A is in, is the same as as map of C. So like in Haskell, map actually so a functor actually has 2 components. It has a component on object and it has a component on morphisms. And in Haskell, you hide the fact that it has a component on you kind of hide the fact that it has a component on morphisms by just always calling it map. And basically, it's inferred like what type you're applying it at. Like, right? Like if you're mapping over a list, it infers that that it should be mapped for lists based on the arguments.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, but you can also see you can also pass that argument like with type applications. Do you know that?
No, I don't know that.
It's like in Haskell when you have polymorphic functions, like the types are inferred, but sometimes they can't be inferred. Like for read, for example, right? Read just has the type read of A to so if A is in the type class read, then it has string to A. But how is it supposed to infer what A is? Like maybe it can infer it from the context, but often it doesn't because there could be many things there. So you can actually tell it what type you expect by saying read and then at. Like you write like an at sign and then the type that you're applying it at. So like read at int of 4 will give you, or of the string 4 will give you like 4 without having to, like without the context telling you from any other way that is the expected type. So yeah, like type arguments are also arguments. It's just usually they're implicit from the rest of the arguments, the value level arguments. But once you're working in the dependently typed settings, it's not clear like what should be implicit. Sometimes values are implicit. Sometimes types can be implicit, sometimes they can't be. So yeah, but anyway, so here I'm explicitly saying, wait, let me go back to here. So you can read this F1 as map. So I'm saying like map and then at F. So F you can kind of imagine like as a type constructor.
Sure.
And then A, right? Like that's bubble. And then after that, I'm doing the swap thing. So here it's just, so swap goes from like list of sorted list to sorted list of list.
That's the underscore, the underlined is sorted.
Yeah, exactly, because there's like this paper is about sorting algorithms, so that's when the sorted thing comes in. But like here I've defined it mu as a natural transformation. So this literally just goes from the composition T after F to F after T. So I still have to tell it at what concrete type I want to apply it, like which object of the category. So that's the object S. And that corresponds in the paper here to mu list, to this thing. And then afterwards, I just take the basically I'm describing this part of the diagram. So F1 of T, so kind of F map T, or like F map applied at the type constructor T, right? Of C, which is my co-algebra. And yeah, so I think basically that's
That's the win for today.
Yeah, yeah.
Jeez.
Also have to like make
I'm
dinner.
Yeah, okay, sounds good. Jeez, I have to like marinate over this. I'm looking at, I'm like, gosh, it's it's just gibberish to me right now. There's some terms there that I understand, but I think
Yeah.
I let myself get tripped up by the notation a bit.
Oh, the
Um,
notation is fucking trippy. Like Agda's
yeah,
notation is insane. You're like, how can this be a program? Like
yeah, that's really, yeah, and I mean like
police, this is illegal.
exactly. And what would be like a sweet use case to use Agda actually from your perspective, other than I'm guessing you can build like pretty sweet like form of verification type of tooling with it because you can define rather complex relationships succinctly, I'm guessing. But
Yeah. Verified functional programming. I think that's a good use case. Like I'm not sure how much it's usable in practice, and like as
hmm,
like I'm using it to formalize category theory, you know. So this is
okay.
kind of a bit far removed from actual real world applications. I don't
Sure.
know yet. Like there are some people that really swear by it. Like some people that you can also like write code in Agda, and there was this blog post about it recently. Like write code in Agda to prove it correct, and then like compile the Agda code to Haskell so that you can like still
Ah,
get you get like an efficient program and you've like
uh-huh.
proven its correctness outside. Like actually people also do that with Coq. They compile like they extract Coq
Mhm.
code to a camel and then they get like efficient code but that's been proven correct. Like sometimes you just really want to prove that something is correct.
Sure.
um I think that's kind of the main application. Do you know Conal Elliott?
Connell Elliott, no, doesn't ring a bell. Let me look
uh,
that up.
yeah, he's like this guy in the Haskell or like functional programming community, and he's like he's starting to like just only use Agda, and he's like actually saying like Haskell is not that great. You should use Agda now.
Oh, geez. All right,
What-
that's next level.
yeah, it's like galaxy brain ascendance. Um,
Yeah, goodness. I'm gonna look up I found Connell.net, so a bunch of papers there on type class dash morphisms. That's gonna be something that's gonna be a rabbit hole that I'm probably gonna get really lost
there's an
in.
interesting like podcast
Uh-huh.
called Type Theory for All, and so the second podcast where he's on, like there's two podcast episodes with Conal, and the second one he talks about this thing that he calls denotational design,
Yeah.
and it's I found it really interesting. Like I mean I understood most of it. I don't know how much of it is like understandable for a general audience, but yeah, I don't know. I
Yeah,
really
I mean, like
enjoyed it.
you're also a researcher in category theory. Like that's like we have to set the stage there. Like you understood most of it.
Yeah,
Most of us don't stand a flying chance. Like forget about it. I'm gonna give it a shot though, because I think it's really interesting stuff. I also think it's quite interesting that Haskell was more of an academic language way back when, right? It's now
hmm,
becoming a little bit more approachable. You're hearing of startups actually building their core
yeah,
tech with Haskell. So I'm guessing like, there's a space for like formal verification in production type stuff. So I could imagine that in a few more years, when the ecosystem has matured further, that more folks have been daring enough to take the plunge.
yeah.
But come on, that's
Then they'll
pretty
be
much
using
it.
Haskell, and then I'll be like, I'm already an Agda.
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta stay one step ahead of industry, you know?
Yeah, exactly. This is where you hear it, folks. If this becomes a
Yeah.
podcast, right? Gotta stay ahead. Look into Agda. Right. But maybe just leapfrog, like not leapfrog, the baby step. Do Haskell for a while, get really comfortable, understand, get
Yeah.
intuitive grasp of the concepts, and then I guess hopping to Agda is less of a moonshot project.
Yeah. No, I also think that like I wouldn't have gotten into Agda if I hadn't started to feel like Haskell was that I was reaching my limits with Haskell. Like I really
Mhm.
had this feeling when I was like reworking my talk to give it mini hack. I looked at it and I was like, this should be easier to express, but it's not because you don't have dependent types. So that's
Mhm.
why for me it's like, you know, I still use Haskell for you know kind of projects that I'm writing, and but I want to see what's possible. That's my main
Sure.
motivation uh, for yeah checking out Agda.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for spending the time with me, and thank you for educating me on some really cool stuff. I learned so much today. Wasn't anticipating I would be able to take in so much information this late in the day, but you made it work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it was really cool. Like I also loved like hearing your insights because like I guess we do really share like quite a bit of our like technology stack. So
Yeah.
it's always interesting to exchange knowledge. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm also super happy that I finished the definition. Like like I'm all
That's
about like trying to like not set yourself goals and try to measure your success by the amount of time you spend on stuff, but
Mhm.
still when something like this works out, it is kind of sweet. Like you have to say.
Of course. And it's actually perfect moment to wrap it up because now you go to bed later today feeling like, yeah, this that's always the best part of the of
Yeah,
being productive is once you can have like a little window like that and then end the day with it on a high.
yeah,
So I would say enjoy your dinner, eat smakelijk,
yeah.
and
Bedankt.
we'll stay in touch and I'm doing my streams every Wednesday. Let me know when
Hmm.
you have had space again. By
Yeah.
the way, starting next week, I'm going to be in a very different time zone. So I'm also going
Oh,
to experiment with that to figure out how that is
yeah.
going to work. It's going to be closer to midnight for me then. But I'm still doing it. I'm committed to doing them every week.
Okay.
And then at
Damn.
some point, I'm going to cut them up into tiny podcast episodes.
Yeah.
Loving that
Nice.
idea.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Well,
Gus.
yeah, it was really amazing. I really love being on here, and yeah, see you next time.
Absolutely. Will do.
Bye.
Ciao. Fijnavond.
Ja, hetzelfde.
Dankjewel. Oh, Gus, amazing. Thank you. Now that was fun. That was a debut. First guest on the pod. Well, not a pod, on the stream. Loved that. Loved that. Hmm. Figuring if I do like 10 of these, I can start doing clip shows. Ah, like Family Guy clip shows. Uh, all right. Now I know that Hassan is heading over to grab a bite, and I know that I have to call Simon to align on something. And I probably can share the screen again. I gotta Twitter about that first though. Oh yeah, Emacs Husk, they are awesome, freaking awesome, like that. Well, cool. Let's find StreamYard again and let's try to see if I could have a little win today. Maybe there's something that starts for me or not. I don't know. I'm just giving it a shot. It's not as eloquent. I gotta say, like my stuff is definitely not as eloquent, right? I'm doing some basic typescripting stuff. Like probably I should learn some type theory so I don't struggle with this trivial shit, right? There's always something to learn, folks. Always something to learn. Oh, I'm doing something ugly here. I'm saying like if both sets could be either undefined or string, and one of these is data, then I basically just return the data and the signature that's returned out. So you can see in the bottom returns any, which I'm pretty sure in FP there is a function that probably does something like that. Um, but my brain is fried. So what is happening here? Okay, so the error message here is telling me what's good. Well, it's not good. Type string undefined is not assignable to type string. Type. Oh, okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. That is so weird how I got that in there. Um, yeah. So apparently this is what's happening. If I do a check here, do I get a type? Does this thing figure out the type? It's a string. It's a string. If I do it with an if, yeah, okay, cool. I think I understand what's going on. I just do that check there. That wasn't pretty well thought through. I could possibly do the following. If this and that, and then otherwise else. This is going to be the ugly form, right? I'm just going to do this, return a list of that, otherwise that here. This is the type is clear. Type is clear. Nothing weird for the system to infer. Um, if I drop this now. I don't even know if I can drop that in here. Let's figure that out. And boom. Crash and burn. Statements probably don't fit inside of lists. That is also why I was opting for the other thing. So let's try to see if I can kind of like turn this around. If I say here, what is this? String or undefined. What if I check it out after and then I return empty list? Oh, it does work. Okay, so as I can see, when I do, what is this? What is that whole syntax thingy when you do the if this syntax? It's a expression. Expression. I don't know. Used to know this. If expression JavaScript. Conditional operator. Ternary. Here we go. Ternary operator. I should know this. I know it exists somewhere, but okay, if I use a ternary operator, I can kind of like figure this out. I can be like, this and this are set. Now I can just basically refer to either one of that, but this is not really what I want. So I'm going to do this thing where I take this little snippet, drop it in here, move that. Looks a little like crap, but it's all good. Double check that we have types that are known, string and string at least. We have that. And then I can basically say that this entire thing here, entire contraption, gets dropped inside of the list. Expressions inside of lists do work. AFAK, as far as I can tell, this abomination goes, right? And then I probably should format the lot. Now this whole thing here, simple does it, right? Let me actually save this, and then I cancel. That thing is trying to build. I exit the REPL, npm format. Of course, that breaks. Did something idiotic. I'm training myself to not use the word stupid. I'm pretty sure that's offensive. So idiotic, I think is good, but I'm having a hard time. I still very quickly default to dumb or stupid, but these words have different meanings. So gotta fight the good fight people. I gotta stick with it. Almost there. So what do we have here? Not assignable to type provider. What? So that, well, fair enough. This is not assignable because I need to spread it out, and I didn't do that. So if I do this now, do I get? Well, I can't really get the type for that. Whatever. Do this, it should possibly build, right? Because now I basically have a relatively clean way of composing this little thing. Bam. I have to say, I don't like it. The syntax is a little ugly, but I'll take what I can get. Right, builds. It builds, my peeps. It builds. I probably it starts up if it starts up. If there is no provider for this, then this doesn't really do much. I should run the def instance npm run dev. Yeah, here we go. And I probably should stop the auto builder. Whatever. As long as it does. Yeah, maybe I should do it. I've had issues before with file descriptors being open and then Node not having an easy time with that. And meanwhile, nodes, I should figure out. I used to make notes on FP. Okay, cool. So I got, give me a second here. FP, right? I go there. do I have? This is weird. I don't know. I tried notes on something just a minute ago. Can't figure out. Here we go. Got this from us. Note of that org ID get create. Boom, boom, boom. Uni hack and mini hack were things that I remember from this chat, and I'm probably gonna put the link. Connell Elliott have to do study some of Connell Elliott's work. Try to. Gotta be honest about that. Don't think I can actually study it. And this thingy, type theory for all. Do listen to type theory for all. Yeah. Okay, cool. Now I can close that tab. The notional design. Yeah, so maybe I can copy the notional design. Something I'll have to look into. Close that. Okay, this thing I don't need. That's just my next stuff. Cool. Now I have a node on Cuss, and then let's see. App work. Yeah, I could make this node in connection to, well, learning Agda, right? And I'm pretty sure this will something lame there. I should have just linked this, but here will tell. Org Rome UI open. Now that is not going to load, obviously, because Rome is indexing. So nada, which is fine. What we are going to do. Meanwhile, double check. Hassan is probably on the way. We got this thing to build. Now we have to figure out the rest of this puzzle. Do I have any documentation somewhere? Not here. Here we go. All right. This thing is done. Oh, let's see what that looks like, right? Connection established with Oracle Room UI. Here we go. Let's see. Someone asked in the chat if I'm giving certificates. Oh, yeah, totally forgot. What am I doing? Up here. It's got a node. Yeah, an Agda programming language. Well, I probably should mark it to FP. Right, let's do that. First, functional. We haven't functional programming, huh? No, not reactive programming. Give me the second one. Ooh, I do have a way. I should probably be able to categorize it underneath. Yeah. Yeah, okay, cool. What do I do? So notes on these things. Maybe I go back. Active language. Let's say FP lang. And what is that FP lang integration template? What was this particularly good for? Dependent types. It has dependent types. But dependent types. Ask Cass. There we go. Anytime I have a question about that, ask Cass. Update. Yeah. It's a little bit violent what happens whenever I update nodes. Somehow the tree is being shook by org wrong UI. So it looks a little wonky, but the moment it's done indexing, I can do some other stuff again. I can actually do whatever I want. I don't need to stay in there, but I like to just wait and see what a tree looks like. I don't know. I can burn them in a minute. Uh, come on, machine. Let's go. Maybe I should move my phone from not disturb mode. Got a bunch of missed calls. Huh. I should probably call someone back. Yeah. Let me call back. Cool. Lady is home. No one's picking up. Okay, so this doesn't matter. Hung up and go check on Lainey real quick. BRB. I'm going to put a banner up. Say hi to the chief. Boom. All right. Yeah, let's call Hassan meanwhile. Do. Oh, didn't work out. Probably on the way. Yeah. Not sure where these messages are flooding in. Having a lot of notifications and I don't know where they're from. I'm probably still in the middle of the tiny break, which I probably should properly wrap up. I'm getting pictures from folks. Here we go. All right, 27th of November. Ah. Sob. Cool, 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 cool. What are we doing? We're probably kind of like muting again, doing bio breaky type of stuff, and then coming back. All right. All right. Now there's a little conundrum. If Hassan shows up, we're probably going to head out for dinner. I don't have the foggiest where we'd go. Probably walk with him around Oranienstraße, show him around the hood a little bit. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Yeah, well, yeah, I was just looking at my notes here, huh? I'm happy about this. Learned so much new stuff. Oh, I can also ask Cass about it. Yes, very, very comfortable. Pascal. Yes. Damn, that is something I should remember. But also, fun fact building, literate, programming, tut. Not interactive. I thought it was a literate programming block where there are snippets of Pascal featuring. I guess that's the best way I can think of phrasing it right now. Now I can close this chapter. Night was a good night. I'm happy. Now, actually, one person I need to have a note on is this character invite, but I cannot open that now. Pretty sure there's private information in there. So, um, look at this. Look at this. Beautiful. Connections are still linking. Something I have to do in the background. Update. Why don't I automatically manipulate my indices, you think? Well, that's because I like to have a level of control. Back to back to the simpler things in life. Let's go. Effectively, okay, this thing done. This is something I really need to figure out. Not today though. Here, what do we have? What's new? This entire mess. Now, quite frankly, I don't feel like this is committable. It's pretty ugly. Yeah, that's my criticism. Pretty ugly. But I don't get a type checker to, come on. I don't get a type checker to kind of like verify if I were to split this up, put in a function. I don't think it works. Probably would have worked if it was something like a macro, because then it would have been like, sometimes there are these little differences that make quite a big difference at the end, right? So here, there's Hassan. Should arrive around 7:58. Oh, cool. Cool. All good, bud. See you in a bit. Now, oh, that's another thing. Hassan is probably going to be freezing cold, so let me text the missus about Hassan coming. Love. Huh, probably has headphones on. I'm gonna run out, see if the missus can just let Hassan in once he's here. I'm going to do that real quick. BRB. Time to stand a little bit. Boom, boom, boom. All right. You know what? I'm not going to touch that. I don't care. This is enough. We're going to make that work. Now, the thing that we want to do, let's read a little bit. Getting started again. I find it frustrating how often you read things and how many times you probably feel like you don't really understand. Extensibility, blah, 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 configuring callback, deploying to production, blah, blah, blah. Why? Okay, so there's one thing I'm not really excited about, and that is guides. Let's figure out basics, no? No. Why is very, very, very cool, is it? Initialization. Like the little form that you're seeing in the beginning doesn't really inspire confidence. Like this thing here, I'm not feeling it. Not at all. Like, how do you add like the logos to it? Now, exactly this type of stuff where you need someone to tell you, like, David, this is not important. But hang on, we're going to play with it. Change the color scheme of pages. Light, color scheme. Advanced options. Custom cookies. Yeah, can I get like some demos? NextAuth. IDP. Oh, I like something to be visually. Oh, this is definitely not what I'm looking for. Funny. There's actually a company that exists by the name. All right. multi-factor ICT is whatever. NextAuth, GitHub provider logo. I mean, is there anything like that? Here we go. Hey all. Curious if anyone knows an example of using OAuth provider but showing your logo or brand colors on the signing page. Ooh, this is what? Is this the repo? 15K? Looks like it. Maybe. No. Maybe no. What is this? I'd like to add Next.js icon to the simple icons brand. I don't know. This is something different. This is something different. Yeah, cool. Funny, this is not what I need or want right now. I am not happy about this. I'm a little upset. I gotta say. So I'll just get like something like this signing with. I'm not enthused about it at all. Darn it. Okay. So let's see. Ori create developer. Welcome to Ori. Like, let's just figure out how to get started. Let's read the guide. I don't think the docs here are really okay. Cool. So Ori CLI is a convenient, easy to use tool that helps you manage and configure Ori network. I don't want to do anything in terms of setting up a network. I just want to use it. Yeah. All right, cool. Let's figure out if we can get the CLI, but not in Docker because we can't run Ori proxy or tunnel. I'm pretty sure I'm going to want to do it. I'm not even sure what they are. Probably a good call to go to notes. Yeah, and then here, and then what? We have tunnel, local dev through Ori tunnel. Yeah, okay, so local dev through tunnel. Yeah. And then what is proxy? No. Already on packages. Let's go for packages. So Ori. Ooh, not shabby. Well, we only have like Ori Kratos API bindings. Maybe I should just prefix it with a dash. Ori Kratos, Ori Hydra client. What else do we have? Not something I can really work with. Come on. This would have been lovely. All right, cool. Now, basic functionality. Let's read. Full list of commands available in Ori CLI. I can do assign you out of. Okay. Maybe I don't want to manage anything like that. Okay, fine. Let's just read an example. Code. Actually, let's go to the docs. What is this? No, don't open up something. What is this? What are you trying to open? Inspect. What the hell? Cart button. No, that's not it. What the hell? What is this opening? What is it trying to open? Hell. What the hell? I'm having a very bad experience with Ori. What do you want to open? XDG open. What the hell? Let's try it. Let's see what the hell it tries to open. Come on. This is really uncool. Really uncool. How is this link so broken? Yak shaving time. Hang on. Yak shaving time. I need to figure out what the hell is there. Is this? I don't know. Okay, for this one it works. For this one it doesn't. Official examples. Oh, probably. Ori, nah. Open source is there docs. Here we go. Documentation for all Ori products. Um, uh, there's undoubtedly somewhere where, look, my brain is going to get distracted. I have, what is this? Documentation. Kratos, Hydra, Oathkeeper, Keto. Yeah, so I'm just going to say Kratos, um, Hydra, Oathkeeper, Keto. I don't think I like the names. Just pick the docs. I don't have to like the names, that's the thing. All right, so our ecosystem. Now, of course, I can look for this thing. Project a page. Protect the page. Okay. A page. Boom. In this repository. Here we go. And this thing is broken. But there is probably an issue for that. So, come on. This is not what I'm looking for. Back there. I think Hassan is here. Let me just check in at the gate. Welcome. Nini is buzzing you, buzzing you in. Walk right into the office as I'm still in the stream. Two pairs of eyes following along on Twitch. How awesome is that? Well, let's see if I can see in my MacBook what's happening on the Twitchiverse. Ooh, yeah. I can't read anything here, unfortunately. It's weird, huh? I keep coming back expecting to have have a different outcome, and then I get like moderately disappointed when it's just more of the same. Funny. Okay, cool. So what we're doing, we're basically looking at, okay, let's look at pull requests. There are only 11, so that's an easy one. And docs update getting started. Law, what is this? Review required. Boom, let's look at that one. Also, I can make that dark. Here updates the Auth2 Federation guide. Blah, that is not correct. API update SDK client, salted shell documentation, intro sections, explain insecure keto bearer token documentation, remote, add basic channel, black, blah. Cool. I'm gonna git clone this little sucker. It's gonna be a no freaking brainer because I'm basically code. Where's that SSH? I copy that, right? And then, so let's figure it out. So here, make Ori. Okay, that doesn't exist. So Ori, come on. Yeah, come on. Come. Get clone. Here we go. Takes a little second. Oof. Wrong. Not wrong. This is how you make a quick contribution for 0 hacker points because that is, oh, which floor now? The door, I believe, which floor? 4th. Yeah, here we go. So there I cd docs, git grep, protect a NVM source, pages, assets, examples, content tsx. There we go. And this is like a little, yeah. Git checkout b being a fix URL to Next.js React example source up for fix URL correct URL in doc. Hey, how you doing? You good? Damn, good seeing you. It's been a while.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm just kind of like in the middle of wrapping up a commit for some documentation for Orish that's broken, and then we can go for dinner.
Beautiful workspace.
Yeah, this is where it all happens.
All the good work comes in here.
All the goofing around and all that. Yeah. Yeah, you're on stream now. Yeah.
Usually I'm on the other side.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't think I would be here.
I'm so happy you made it though. Been a
Awesome.
busy day for you? Busy few
Yeah.
days, I guess.
Yeah, indeed. It's been a busy few days.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk all about it. Let me see. Like, I keep getting people trickling into the Twitch stream. I just can't figure out who they are, but I'm so
Yeah.
curious to know who's on the Twitch stream. But I'm fixing this thing for Ori, so let me make a fork of that. Then I can deliver a PR right away, and then we're off. Fork docs. I'm just gonna rename them to Ori dash docs, and hmm, darn it, almost done. Then I do this. I take the SSH, get remote, VPN there. Yeah, I gotta get remote, add, yeah, and then get push, VPN. I guess this is how it works. Let's see if this is correct actually. Um, does it work? Okay, new branch, pull request. Fix correct URL in Next.js. Uh, this. Have I completed the checklist? Let me do a quick verification of that. I've read the contributing guidelines inside the CLA. No, I haven't. Let's figure out quickly how I do this. Uh, where's the contributing guidelines? Is this also broken? Oh, here, contributing guidelines. Choose different branches. It's annoying how things don't just work on the internet, huh? You just want these things to work. We couldn't figure out how to compare these references. I'm not trying to compare anything. What is happening here? Blop contributing. Okay, well, this is probably wrong. I can probably just do, you know what? I just go to Ori docs and then I'm such a clumsy person sometimes. So contributing, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? Conduct, I behave. Slack, yeah. The contributing guideline, the CLA, where's the CLA? Code style, yeah, I didn't actually change code. Where's CLA? Come on. This is so frustrating sometimes. And sign a CLA. No, I haven't done it. I have referenced an issue containing design document. I confirm that this pull request does not address security. Yeah, it doesn't address one. I have added tests. Yeah, I have added necessary documentation with the code. None of this is appropriate. I'm just going to say like, breaking changes. No, I don't need that. Related. No breaking changes. Related issue. No checklist. I will just mark the checklist. I have read the contributing guidelines and signed the CLA. Do you know where they document things on CLAs? Is there like a feature on GitHub where you can instantly spot where the CLA related information is? Contributor. That is weird. I would have expected it to be pretty obvious. Reference an issue doesn't exist. I have read the security policy. Let's say I did. I confirm. Yes, I did. I have added tests of all the. I have. If there were tests to add, I would have done that. I've added necessary documentation. Well, fair enough. Um, just submitted a doc typo fix. So most things are moved. Yes. To do much more. 15? I have 16 CPUs on my computer.
16.
Yeah, this one. Yeah, it's a beefy machine actually. Cool. I filed a PR, something I didn't think I would have done tonight. Yeah, I'm trying to. Do you know NextAuth? Good. You're the authority on this.
You like when I know how to use it.
Yeah,
I'm
like
sure I'm not gonna see.
Yeah, like I'm trying to like do this sign in with GitLab, but I'm trying to figure out if NextAuth allows me to add logos to this, like icons, or is it just always the plain UI?
Where's the code?
Here, this is the code. Where I basically, well, not all the code. So this is
Which
the
package did you use?
it's NextAuth.
Let me see.
This one.
Let's check the box.
Okay. So here, mm, this is the one that I'm using. So tell me what we have to look for, because I looked for logos in it and I saw there was an issue open and it seemed like there is no answer on the issue. So I'm guessing that they don't allow me to add custom logos, which is like a UI killer for me because I do want to make it very visually clear to
And
people.
now we have it strange if you can't overwrite.
Would be right. Oh yeah, sorry. The editor is like it's pretty messed up. It's Emacs, so
I don't
Yeah.
know how to use Emacs.
yeah,
But okay, so that's it.
yeah.
So okay, you
That's only on the backend side. That's the API thing, and then I think you can
I'm
look
looking for
inside
UI.
of the
Oh,
front.
that's what.
Let me open it up for you because I would probably still remember. Let me actually look at my Git history. So where did I add something recently? This is old. That's old. Let's see. Here, that's old. I believe that's also old. Here, the setup provider, I guess. Session provider, that is one part of it. And then where the hell is it supposed to be? I think somewhere in index. I don't render it. It's basically the component from NextAuth
Okay.
that does that. So I think the place where I would have to go is either possibly.
Maybe that could be a way that you can pass a custom component.
Okay,
Let's check
so
the name.
documentation. I'm guessing something like session provider. No, that's basically just fills in the session information, right? So because let's go back to the source.
Is that it?
That's the session provider that I populate, but that's
Okay.
all I do in terms of configuring. And then here I have to kind of like the promise that the session is going to be made available. Session I source from where does it come from?
NextAuth React.
I take it out from the props, the
Okay.
page props.
Okay.
They contain that somehow, and I basically split it out from there. But I didn't configure ever how this thing is going to actually look.
Okay, let's look at like this implementation. Let's look at it in the docs.
Okay, cool.
Oh, that's interesting.
So let me just go to the getting started. Here, existing project. This is how they outline it, right? I set up the API routes for this. Then in app, I basically say session provider, pass along session that I get from here, which is basically already injected into the app component when it's being rendered. And then I basically put buttons. Unclick, go to sign in. This is
Oh,
all
wait.
from the
Is
library.
that the button?
This is not a button. So I have a button somewhere here, for example.
This is not the button?
No, this is from the NextAuth. So let me show you here. Let me see if I can actually go back to localhost 3001. Okay, here we go. If I go to sign in, right? That's the button I had. That was this thing that I was showing you that mapped to. Okay, again, I did the same thing. I opened too many tabs. Let me clean up again. This thing. This is the button that I defined somewhere.
Okay, but this is the sign out.
Sign in and sign out, both of them are there. But once I click on sign in, this comes from here, which comes from here, which means it's basically NextAuth/React that dictates to me how how the model is going to look. They have already predefined it for me. It basically reads whatever providers I configure, but it doesn't necessarily give me a way to customize it.
Okay, can you show me that button that you just defined on the view?
You
But
know,
no, we
in
saw
the
it here,
code.
but we didn't see it here.
You want
Yeah,
to see in the code? Cool. But where are you? I think I can do it. So I go, actually, here. So what was it? Sign in. Where are you? Here, this file, app menu. Okay, so here, this is the file where I do sign in. Here, this is the button, sign in button. what you see here. God, goodness. Yeah, I'm gonna have to like close a bunch of tabs again because I'm making a royal mess of this. Yeah. Here we go. Clean that up. Yeah. All right. So this button you're gonna see up here, this one is this one.
Okay.
But the sign in thing, I don't control that. I just call it from the library.
But what happens when you click
Yeah, then it kind of like, but I didn't set it up. So this is what I expected. But in a previous case, it actually rendered the sign in with GitLab button. And I was like, oh, damn, how do I style that? First of all, let me figure out why, which, what am I doing wrong? Yeah, because I didn't configure the secret. It said warn, no secret. Fair enough. It should work. So I should basically source a secret, dump it in there. Probably I could do something really nonsensical like here, quit that. I'm going to lie a little bit. Yeah. I don't think it actually checks it. Probably, I think it just presents the screen initially. So at this point, um, let's see, come on. 15 cores, 16 cores, but this thing is still sometimes pretty slow. Come on.
I wonder if you'd be able to use
I would be. But this is a normal
like
computer.
this is not
Yeah, I
but
have
there's
my.
a lot going on your system. And I think it's really fast actually, given all the stuff that you have going on. Plus the things I don't see.
But what do you mean there's a lot going on? Do you mean on in terms of the displays, they're busy?
Well, well, to be fair, you are not using a lot of GCPUs. Very interesting.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like
why.
you're not even up to 20%.
No, this machine is like, yeah, we could push it if we wanted to. Ha! But it's not an M2. I
Wait,
got it.
is this not a
No,
Mac
this is
anymore?
an old, this is a Dell machine. I'm in the Linux universe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So I totally screwed this up. I have to go back to the drawing board. Maybe I have to restart the instance where I just say rerun. Let me do that again.
I think you might need the end keys to
Yeah.
fix or whatever
I,
to run
yeah. I'm figuring like if I tell it client ID blah, secret blah, that I can kind of like spoof it to start up, show the button, and then once you click the button, it throws up because then it can't talk to GitLab then.
but then you have set up, you have configured it in a way to decide what to show up in the button, right?
No,
No?
no, whenever. So what I can do, that's what I meant. What I can do, I can set up which providers NextAuth is aware of, which corresponds with, um, let me see, I get this part of the documentation where you see here upstairs. I can say like, I want the GitHub provider, and then I set the ID and the secret, and then I could add more providers, and then NextAuth, maybe I should look in auth options. Maybe that's where I have to look. Just see, it's good that you're here, because because then NextAuth just renders the screen with the options. I don't necessarily control what's in them, but now that you're opening my eyes, I probably go to configuration, and then I go to options, and then let's see if here there is something about images, something with JWT. I can set like a picture for the user, but I want to set a picture for every type of platform you can log in with. That I'm not spotting it here. I can set a theme, so that's customizable. I can set a logo, but that's just for the overall model. Like maybe I should play around with this. How about I do this, right? I take this. Uh, where was it? This was in options. I'm just gonna drop it in.
Certainly. The theme. That's for the button.
I think it's for the whole thing. So I say brand color. I'm gonna make it FF0000. That's red as very red. Button text. Hello. Um, Probably not a good idea. Oh yeah, and this is
But you
definitely not
clearly didn't have
legal.
keys to get that to run.
True, but I put dummy keys in there, so not really dummy keys. I just put nothing in there, so I'm expecting it to
Why
break.
did it redirect into one error? It's doing that by itself?
No, I didn't reload. I probably should reload ever since I updated the source, and the slow thing is going to start again. Now we're here again. No secret, blah, blah. Okay, weird. I press this. Okay, so now I have to fix the secret thing. Okay, why? Oh, okay. So I don't understand why. If I hard code them in there, it should work. No, yeah, right. So guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do something violent. I'm taking this. I'm commenting out this bit. Actually, let me do it the cleaner way. I know, sometimes I don't stop trying to be clever. I- Oh yeah, that's my new ergonomic keyboard. I'm trying to. I have a lot of pain in my hands when I'm typing a full day, so I have to start doing whatever I can to increase my ability to work longer basically to remain active in this line of work. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to pick up something like farming or something. That's a little. I know that's ludicrous. This is. I have to program them first. If I can't program, I'm pretty much screwed, right? So I have to figure that out. But it's a really nice keyboard. Like it's called the Dilemma from Bastard Keyboards. The only downside is you have to solder them yourself. Yeah. Do you have a setup in the office though? A soldering station? Boom. Yeah. You're a genius. Hassan. You just helped me out. You just helped me out. I have to populate the other ID. None of these were the issue. It was NextAuth underscore URL, and I missed that. So I'm just being an idiot. Let me figure out how to configure that real quick. NextAuth underscore URL. It's really trippy to type on that thing. Uh,
Yeah, this is really tricky. I don't even understand the head from the toe. How is it supposed to work? What's the orientation?
yeah, so this is the orientation. Then I have the thumb keys.
Thumb keys?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
I'm
So if you put,
disrupting you, man.
oh, it's okay. There's a like this, and then yeah, and then
Nice.
you can kind of like set what the angle is that's convenient for you. So I'm guessing for me, it'll be a little bit down like that. Yeah, if you can type on it. I definitely can't, but I mean, like this. This is the feel.
Okay, so
Yeah,
now
tricky, no? Yeah. Let's wrap it up. Let's see. Two people in the stream on Twitch. Folks, you've been too good to me. I'm going to call it a wrap. I'm going to have some good dinner with Hassan, chat some tech and other stuff. I think I figured out what the issue is. I'll sort it out later. And otherwise, I'll ask for Tijan's help or because you're going to be busy tomorrow, Hassan. So I'm not going to get a chance to talk to you. Um, so yeah. But oh, here, live demo. Snap. Like I could show you the live demo that's on for sale already. If I click sign in, this is the UI.
and this redirects to a different page.
This page comes from NextAuth itself, and you can see that they don't have logos there. It's just like very plain. You read whatever the IDP is, GitHub, Google, or Twitter legacy or auth0 from some. That's not enough for me because I needed something that would allow me to say like, oh, logo for Facebook along with it. So I'm probably gonna have to end up going for this thing, Orish. It's like pretty trivial. It's not trivial. It's kind of like lame or idiotic that I'm picky about that. But I want the login form. The login here. Probably have documentation on what it looks like. Do you or don't you? Come on. How long? Yeah, I don't even know how this is going to look. Maybe I shouldn't care because here I also see continue with GitHub. No logo. Let me see. Logo. No, you know what? I'm fixating on something that is not important. What a waste of time. Sorry for wasting your time.
No, not at all.
I'm calling it.
This is exciting for me.
I'm calling it. I'm going to use NextAuth without the logos, and I'm going to be happy with it. I'm going to shut the hell up. Yes, that's what I'm doing. For now, I can stop the clock. Shoot, I got to stop. Yeah, okay, I'll time shorten this one by, I'm busy for how much now? 3 hours streaming. So that's 3 times 8 is 180 plus 16 is 196 minutes ago. Yeah, and then time start 196 minutes ago. FT and streaming. Stream FT. Here we go. That's my day. Start. No, I don't have to start. Time stop. Going for dinner. No more work. Ciao, folks. Have a good night. Stay healthy. Eat healthy. I'm not sure if we're going to eat healthy. I'm probably going to get some good comfort food. I don't know.
Yeah, no intention to be healthy.
All right, let's go then. Let's do this. All right. And